Yo, what's going on, everybody? Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We're here to do the daggone thing. What just dropped was Wonder Woman 1984, and we're about to talk about it. This is completely unfiltered. This is a spoiler review.
Don't say unfiltered unless I can cuss on it.
We're on Facebook, so I don't know. I mean, look. I just asked you to filter as best you can, Lucas. That's all I'm doing.
You done went from unfiltered to filtered the best you can. See?
Look, do the best you can. That's all I can ask.
Look, we all fall short.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't with either one of y'all. But yeah, no, this should be actually really fun, you guys. I definitely want us to kind of talk in tandem about everything that went down in this movie, for the good, for the bad, the controversy outside of that. And then after everything is said and done, we're also going to be talking about people's tempered expectations of what they kind of thought this was supposed to be for the last movie or last action superhero movie of the year. But I think to start off, what was your number rating for this movie and why? I think that'd be a really good start for the beginning of this. Keeden, you go first.
So out of 10?
You can do out of 10, or if you want to do A, B, C, D, F. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Honestly, if I'm going by letter grade, I honestly, as far as how that movie made me feel, I'm going to give it a B. I'll definitely give it a B. It definitely had some flaws, but I thought it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. What about you, Lucas?
Well, at one point it was one score, but slowly but surely it's dropped a little bit. 6.5 out of 10.
Dang.
It's close to a 7 out of 10, but I judge most superhero films on the sliding scale anyway. So it's, if I rated against the first Wonder Woman, the score would be even lower. If I rated against just, again, these superhero films and what they do, again, that's where I get the 6.5 to 7 out of 10. I just can't decide which one I want to land on yet. It really just depends on the time of day it is and how I receive certain elements of this movie. Because
have I had breakfast yet? Like,
yeah, because the movie has, but besides the flaws in story, it has some continuity issues in it that when I attempted to watch it a second time and I noticed it, and then I had a discussion with someone else about it, I said, oh, so they just decided we're not even going to clean up a lot of this edited stuff, and we're just going to throw it out there and see what happens. So yeah, that's what makes it a 6.5 out of 10, which is not a bad thing for a superhero film. I'm the same guy who gave Endgame a D. So that really tells you my thought process here.
Yeah, he's a very strict critic, and to be quite honest with you guys, like initially, I think Lucas, you were like at like a 8, then it dropped to a 7, and then that was like an in between 6.5.
It was an 8 after the first like 30 minutes, and then, but we'll have that discussion later when this movie really like went off the rails for me.
See, and I'll tell you, I feel like one of the reasons I gave it a higher score was because it felt different from the, like, superhero movies now feel like a factory. It's just like they're getting churned out. It's the same thing over and over. I feel absolutely nothing. I laugh several times and then I wait for the end credit scene. With this, like, it felt, I don't know. I just felt like it had a lot of heart, and especially in the last third of the movie. We'll get there, though. We'll get there. It was a long movie.
Very
long.
That's part of the issue too, is that it didn't need to be that long. But the heart thing, you're 1,000% right. I think I told Sam after seeing this, I said, "Oh, this is a Superman movie. Like this is, it has that much hope in it." Like, I didn't expect a Wonder Woman movie to have this much hope in it.
Oh, as soon as the Adagio started playing, I was like, oh, this is what we doing.
Yeah.
This how y'all making me feel.
Yeah. So no, part of the reason why I asked you guys your score, so we can kind of just get that out the way. So we ain't gotta sit there and worry about people like, oh, what did he think about it? What did people think about that? Like, and I think that was really good that you guys both tempered on certain different things I wanted to kind of bring up when it came to heart, when it came to like pacing and story continuity, as well as like, you know, some amazing Easter eggs and things that they've never really done in certain superhero movies, which is the value of emotion when it comes to certain characters. So just to let you guys know, everybody that's watching, this is spoiler filled. So you ain't seen the movie, go to HBO Max and just watch it. Some of you guys, I don't know where y'all went out.
I'm say,
IMAX theaters. And
I'll say go to your theater if your theater is showing it, because I think that affects a lot of people's score on this movie. In all honesty, it's watching it from home. The theater experience on this one is probably 3 to 4 times better than watching this at home. You're not going to get that same feel. You're not going to hear things the way it's meant to be heard. You're not going to see things the way it's meant to be seen from your home screen. So if you're in a theater, near a theater that's open, that you can go see this, especially at IMAX theater, check it out. I think you're going to get a different feel about this movie if you go to the movies versus sitting at home.
So I initially thought that too, Lucas, but then one of our very own close friends, who's I think's right now having a spoiler-filled review right now on this film, I don't think it did him any service to see it in IMAX.
He also didn't like the first Wonder Woman.
No, like, he did.
No, he didn't. Did you hear the way he talked about Wonder Woman? For the last year and a half, he's been saying, I have no interest in seeing this movie.
But no, he gave the first one like a 9. Anyway, we're not gonna go in there. Yeah. We're gonna keep it.
I go by your last comments. When he told me before this movie dropped, I have no interest in seeing this movie, I kind of can imagine what your score is going to be the moment you tell me you have no interest in seeing the movie.
Yeah. But again, I said that too. To be fair, I said the same thing, and I was kind of like, because I was telling Lucas initially, I was like, I don't know if I even care to see this movie. I was kind of like really tempered my expectations, but anyway.
Yours was going to the theaters though. If they would have told you from day one it was dropping on HBO Max, you'd have been the most hyped person in the world. Like, oh, I can't wait. But yours was, I'm not going to the theaters to see that movie.
Sure wasn't going to the theaters.
And after Tenet, you was like, I'm not going to theaters to see anything.
No, that is true. That is spot on. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the film in general. So I want to talk about the Easter eggs. What did you guys notice that was deep cut stuff from Wonder Woman lore? What did you guys, I mean, the obvious, of course, the very end credit scene that everybody claims is the biggest hype about the film. To me, that wasn't. It's Linda Carter, you know, showing up as the OG original veteran that used that armor. That didn't do much. But they had Linda Carter at the very end of the end credit scene, which is pretty dope. But what was the Easter eggs or the highlights that you guys saw, you know, that really worked and that really kind of was like, oh, wow, I can't believe they did that. And it actually did work. Because some people were kind of like, they put the invisible jet in, you know, but nobody really explained like whether or not that worked for them or not. Everybody was really quick to be like, oh, this is cheesy for no good reason. But I know you guys are going to be able to go and do a deep dive and talking about the Easter eggs and the things that you felt like they really added in that kind of surprised you or you liked or you didn't. So let's go over some of them. Either one of you guys can start off.
Easter eggs. I love the invisible jet scene. Absolutely love that scene. Yeah. I love that they explained it because that was the key part with me. I don't know much about comic books. I needed you to explain to me why is this jet invisible? And it played off of her powers and off of God powers and things of that nature. I think that was an amazing setup to do to explain, hey, this is why this jet is invisible. Not just because she got one and all of a sudden it becomes invisible. This is her using her powers and coming in full control of her powers and understanding everything she can do. It kind of plays off of what happened in the first Wonder Woman, of her not understanding fully what her powers were. But by now, she's kind of mastered them and understands how to use them. So I think this was an awesome scene to set up. That mid-end credit scene was super unnecessary. I don't understand why people are hyped about that. I don't care that Linda Carter. I don't care that Supergirl's president was in that movie at all. I didn't need that.
Oh no,
So
not
I didn't care one bit so about that mid-end credit scene. That was cheesy, unnecessarily cheesy.
I didn't really care about it either. It was like, oh, she was on Smallville one time. Like I remember her. Like it was, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, she's OG Wonder Woman, so I'll give the respect. But I don't these days when it comes to end credit scenes in movies, it's like you need to bring it. Like you need to get me hyped for something. Like I expect more. So that was good, but it was good, but I definitely thought there would be more.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I'll touch on some. The fact that they paid off two different, comic versions of the character. The Invisible Jet goes in the deep cut, the older version of Wonder Woman, before they brought her into the fold that she could fly.
Yes.
And, I think that I can't remember if in BVS, the only way that she was able to get from the plane to Batman in time, I always assumed that she flew. It just they never showed it. You know what I'm saying? But I was kind of like, there's no way she jumped out of a freaking plane and got to him in that amount of time unless she's able to fly. But then Wonder Woman movie came out and I was like, well, maybe she can't fly. I don't know. But the way that they were able to use the Invisible Jet, I think the scene itself was just really dope. It was kind of cheesy and corny, but the thing that worked like the first movie was Chris Pine and Gal Gadot's chemistry. I mean, it honestly is off the charts a lot of the time throughout. But it's kind of like for this specific scene, it's kind of like the way he kind of described, like she said, I never understood it, your gift. And he was like, it's simple. It's like the way he kind of described it, it fit in pretty well later on when she had her quote unquote first flight. There was an emotional mess that messed me up, but I'll get into the emotional side of stuff later. I did like, the way that they brought up her able to fly. But then that goes me to some things that don't make sense is how did she use her lasso to lasso some lightning and just kind of ride the lightning even though she can technically fly. I mean it was cool, but it didn't really make much sense.
Wasn't that part of the flying though? She wasn't necessarily riding the lightning, she was just like using it as an effect.
But no, she didn't, because at the end of the film, she was just flying.
No. I mean, she didn't use it as an assist to fly. She was just using it. That's it. No reason.
Why? What was the
reason? Like, I mean, but if I get to the point of nitpicking why superheroes do things of that nature, this thing could last for hours because I have so many questions. If I can nitpick why they do stuff like that. Because to me, it was just a cool scene. That's it. I loved it. I loved the way that scene was shot. And I said from the first trailer, when I saw it, I said, oh, that looks good. Yeah. That's it. I don't care if it's like practical for her to do it. The point she did it, it looked cool. That's all I care about.
Like it was honestly, and I was saying that when I was watching it, I'm like, there are a lot of cool scenes in here, and it looks really cool, but it don't make no sense. Like honestly, you should never fly a plane through a fireworks display. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like that's not
any circumstance.
Under any circumstances, it's probably a bad look to fly a plane through a giant 4th of July fireworks display. But you know what? Okay. And then she was doing some stuff with the lasso. I'm like, did she just catch a bullet? Like with the lasso, like she did it that quick while she's losing her powers. Like I had a lot of questions, but at the same time, I was like, man, that looked cool. Like she was like dragging under the truck by the axle. I'm like, hey, if Indiana Jones can do it, Diana can do it. Like we going in on this. We're gonna do it. And so it was a lot of stuff that didn't make sense. But I was like, you know what? It did look cool. Like she's lassoing lightning like on some Pecos Bill. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna jump into it. Go full throttle into it. Don't cheat me. Don't like do this thing where the CGI fully takes effect. Black Panther ending, where none of that makes any sense at all. Like, nah. Like,
hey, it was a good day. It was a good desktop background.
Like, just go full throttle into it, and to me, scenes like that, the Ride of Lightning, is more of a visual explosion for a younger audience. Like, that's just a cool scene. At times, all your superhero movies don't have to overly make sense. In fact, none of them actually make sense. So to make one overly make sense would be crazy. And so then you will have to pick apart, like the first Wonder Woman, when she ran through the building. She ran through the building in one scene. Then the next scene, she just ran through a window when she could have ran through the building and killed everybody the same way. Like, again, cool scene though.
Yeah. And see, the thing is, the way that I looked at this movie, about halfway through, it dawned on me. I started feeling like, okay, this movie is a story about Wonder Woman in 1984, but also it's almost like this movie was made like an 80s superhero movie. Like,
we're getting there. We're getting
like,
there.
I swear.
We gotta. Hold on, we ain't there yet. We got
Yeah.
to get there. Hold on. We
Like-
got it. We gotta stay on target, because if we go down this road, this is a slippery slope for good or bad.
But yeah, that was one of the things. And so that's why when I looked at it from that perspective, it was like, okay, I know why they did that. Yeah, she can ride the lightning. I'm not gonna ask questions. I know what year I'm supposed to be in right now.
Thank you. Thank God.
Exactly.
I'm happy somebody said it.
I'm a chill.
No. I know that was one specific topic that I'm gonna bring up when it comes to people's tempered expectations of what they thought this movie should be. That's why I'm trying to stay on target. But again,
they still heard about Cyberpunk, man. They mad about everything, dog. Like, it's not.
That's
this ain't Wonder Woman fault.
Hey, like they can't see, like the title of the movie doesn't tell you everything you need to know. What you thought? You know the problem is? Sorry, this mini rant. You know the problem is? You all got so accustomed to people lying to you about time frames and throwing you a 2018, 2019 movie. See Captain Marvel that was set in the 90s but felt like a 2019 movie through and through, and just gave you a blockbuster and a fanny pack. And then you were hyped for that.
We ain't got there yet. We're getting there.
Hold it in. 84. What did
hold
you
it in. Oh my God.
Oh,
hold it in. We're getting there. We're gonna get there. Because there's two different points that I wanted to bring up in terms of mythology standpoint. Because Lord have mercy. Of course,
y'all are my
the golden eagle outfit, the actual stone itself, and where it kind of came from, in connection with the gods. Even like the deep cut like history with Maxwell Lord and Wonder Woman, the fact that she killed him, cold blood in one of the comics. It's just, there's a lot of different nudges there. And I mean, again, I could critique and pick apart different things, but to be fair, I could assume, okay, she's Zeus's daughter. Yeah, she can do things with lightning. She literally absorbed lightning at the end credit, the first movie, and just threw it back at Hades. So like, it's beyond thought and recognition. It's just some things could have been just a little bit more added, and it would have made so much more of a deeper thing. But again, we're about to go into the negatives now, because I want to go into the positives towards the end of this. What were the things about this film that just didn't work for you guys? Like, what was it that is like, okay, this was unnecessary and this didn't work? Because this will work later on when we start talking about the positives.
One negative that I had is, honestly, it was a 2.5 hour long movie, and I feel like they were on the cusp of doing something well with Cheetah, but I never felt anything with that character. Like, I saw why she was upset, but like they didn't. I felt like the transition wasn't good enough that it was like, oh wow, this is the big showdown. It was, oh yeah, she got powers 5 minutes ago, and now she's about to fight Wonder Woman, and boom, here's our big chick fight for the movie. Boom, you got it, and now we're done. Like it was like boom, boom, 10 or 15 minutes of Cheetah, and then that was it. And I was like, huh, I expected more from someone who's like one of Wonder Woman's biggest villains, you know?
Yeah. No, that's fair. Because I'm not even going to the why, because I kind of was like, I was cool with Barbara the first 2 acts in terms of where they were kind of positioning her character. It just felt like, I don't know. By the time we got to the second act, her progression, they were speeding her progression into descent and losing, her personality without identifying at the time what was the cost of the stone. We were still trying to figure out at that point, what were these wishes really doing? And at that point, we didn't know that there was actually a cost. We started assuming, but it was kind of like, okay, daggone, she was just cool with this homeless dude. Now she's yelling at the black man. Like, what'd he do? Like, he was just asking what you doing, Barbara. But
it was just it was so quick. And I was like, okay, one scene, it's like, man, Barbara, I feel bad for her.
But it was weird, but because at the same time, Cheetah was not the main villain of this movie.
Right.
At all. Like, she was just a catalyst and a connection to Diana's issue. Diana had a disconnect from everybody because her whole crew died. Like, everybody in her whole crew, like that scene, where that was when, to me, the movie started hitting a little really good stride. When she went back home, she wasn't dressed as Wonder Woman. She was going through old photo albums, and you saw that everybody she knew was gone. And she's sitting there just eating at a cafe down in Georgetown in Washington, D.C., like it won't nothing. And she's kind of reminiscing about looking in the clouds, whatever. But it's kind of like, okay, this chick, Barbara, like, she's the outcast. Like, she doesn't have anybody, seems pretty cool. And, like, it was like, okay, this could be something. But instead, they started like, okay, instant connection to Maxwell Lord. Position her because she's the person that has enough knowledge and understanding of the stone to put her in this place. But it was never that she was the central focus. And I think that was part of the reason why a lot of people may have been let down by Cheetah as a character and Kristen Wiig's purpose in this film. But I didn't have an issue with her acting in it, but I understand what you mean, Keeden, in terms of that.
Yeah, and it felt like they were on the cusp of something great. And honestly, it kind of reminded me like how like you don't turn a major villain into just a henchman. Like I've never liked it when they did that just to be like, oh look, and this character's in it. Like when they just were like, oh yeah, Doomsday's also in Batman v Superman. Look, Doomsday, y'all. That's what they felt like with this. It's like, look, y'all, it's Cheetah. The Cheetah. Remember? Wonder Woman's villain, Cheetah. She's in this movie. And that's what it felt like. She went from being a really nice person, and then 10 minutes later, she was a really nice person that could fight. And then 10 minutes after that, she was kind of a mean person that was fighting, but only jerks. And then after that, if you touch Maxwell Lord, me and you are beefing.
Yeah, it's weird. Right. It's hard because he was the object of what was keeping her, where she was.
Yeah.
Like, she understood that if they were going to kill this man, she was going to lose everything that she had gained up until this point. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I understood both sides of it. I understand what people wanted. Another big thing, I guess I'll bring it up. It wasn't necessarily a detractor for me my first time watching it, because my expectation was this is the 80s movie. This is more, on the emotional character progression side of things, specifically with like characters like Pedro Pascal's Maxwell Lord, very different than what I was thinking he was going to be. But at the end of the day, I really enjoyed it. But when you think about action scenes, there really wasn't a lot. I mean, there were action scenes, but I think the execution of some of the action scenes really didn't leave a lot for the lasting appeal. It was more so to me that the movie to me is rewatchable because I do love the way that the progression of the characters go. Not necessarily the story, not necessarily the continuity issues, but just the characters themselves and the vibrance of like their connections to each other, their humanity. That's the reason why I have like rewatchable feelings about the film. But when I think about it is as a superhero movie, when I think about the action in it, it don't really live up to anything. It's few and far between good. I don't know, good to mediocre action scenes. Unfortunately, even though there's some amazing, beautiful moments, I had same kind of issues with Superman Returns. Like Superman Returns has some amazing iconography, has some amazing Donner shots, but it wasn't anything really kind of going on. But I still appreciate what Superman Returns was trying to do, even though I didn't, that's a whole another thing. I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of people had issue with that. It wasn't necessarily an issue for me because I understood what the movie was going to be. Lucas,
they have an issue. Are you saying they had an issue with the lack of action scenes in the movie?
People had they've been tearing this movie apart.
Can I ask an odd question?
Go for it.
Did you watch the first Wonder Woman? Because it's 4 action scenes in the first Wonder Woman. 4. We literally just rewatched it. It is literally 4 action scenes in that entire 2 hour and 20-minute movie.
But like,
I think what happens is people go this weird balance. You don't want it when they overdo action scenes, but then you don't like it if you feel they underdo action scenes. See, my issue was actually I would have stripped more action out of this movie and gave it more story. As I said before, the transition from the guy to turning into Steve should have been at least 10 minutes longer. Of just him going around the party, him trying to figure out what the hell is going on here and realizing the time period that he's in, and then him trying to find a familiar face.
Yeah,
you could have stripped away an action scene to me to do that. Barbara's progression. Granted, she's not a villain in this movie. I don't like when people say that. She is not a villain at all. They positioned it that way for a reason. But again, progression. That's the issue with this movie, is that a lot of the progression is rushed. And for a 2.5 hour movie, progression shouldn't be rushed. But to me, that's when you cut back certain action scenes. We know what Wonder Woman can do. Yes. We understand how powerful she is. Yes. But you don't need action scenes like what I think it's like 4 in this movie, 4 or 5 in this movie.
Is okay. So
the middle part of it, let me say that the middle section of the action scenes, take out. I don't need them at all. That whole Israel thing, I don't need any of that. And I understand you're trying to do it to show that she's losing her powers. Guess what? We can do that in another way and still progress the story better. That's the issue with Wonder Woman 84, is that its story is horrible. This is a horrible story. And maybe she did that on purpose because it's an 80s movie and no movies in the 80s had good story. But or like Superman, when for some odd reason it was a nuclear power plant or something that Gene Hackman was trying to blow up. Like, none of that shit makes sense in these type of films, but at least progress it better. Give these characters time to breathe a little more. And actually have a villain. Maybe that's a good thing, having a villain. Because Maxwell is not a true villain in this movie either. He's a confused person, but not a true villain. And I think that's what people are waiting for. They're waiting for Wonder Woman to get a true villain in one of these movies, and it hasn't happened yet.
I think the reason I think the reason he was a villain, they were looking at it not as him as a villain, but the destruction he would cause if he succeeded is what would make him the villain. It's like in the movie Armageddon. The asteroid is the villain. Is it an evil asteroid? No, but the damage it's going to do is what's going to cause, is what they're trying to stop. And so I think that his actions and the outcome of everything was the villainous portion. We have to stop him no matter what, because even though he's just doing it for ulterior motives and not just to be angry and destroy the world, he's gonna destroy the world if he gets what he wants.
Yeah,
and that's one more issue I had with it too. The stone in general is a huge issue with this movie. Not that you had the stone, it's that you changed up how the stone worked in the movie. Like it's a horror movie that came out like 3 years ago called Wish Upon, and I remember we went to a screening of it. And first, you have it where if you touch the box with the wish, you get your wish, but it's a consequence. Like someone has to die if you get your wish. And they did that constantly through the movie. Then halfway through the movie, they switched it up, and then you didn't even have to touch the box to make the wish happen. That's what happened here. The whole satellite thing, and what you tell me, I can touch all these souls. Dude, all that is freaking unnecessary. It's stupid. If you just kept it up, that he had to physically touch someone to grant their wish, and then the consequences that comes behind that, I'd have been a lot. It'd have felt better than the whole let me go on TV and have people make wishes, and it just got out of control when it didn't have to get out of control.
That was one of the issues I did have with it, because at that point in the movie, I was like, so is it Cerebro? Like, can he hear every person on the planet? Like, and he's standing in this light, and I'm like, that's just a light. Like, they got wind blowing and stuff, and I'm like, that's just a light. Like, that's it. Like, it's like, it's not like a big contraption that's making him float in the air. It's like he just walked into the light, and now the wind is blowing, and he's like granting people wishes, and I'm like, you're just talking on a TV. Like, they can't hear you. Like, you can't hear their thoughts. I don't.
Yeah. No,
I got real confused there.
It's the unnecessary epic ending. Like, I forget, like Suicide Squad, where
it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
No. I mean, where you feel the need to increase your villain to world-ending properties, when you could do that, but not in that way, and that's what made it silly at the end. It made it real silly when he's sitting in TV land and just wish, and magically all these people's wishes are coming true. Then couldn't he have just did that from the beginning? That's a continuity issue then. And why couldn't he do that from the beginning?
Yeah, and I was trying to figure, because when she was on her way there and you see all the damage that people getting their wishes is doing, I'm like, that's enough. Like, yeah, you can't stop that. We can't have cows out here in the streets. Like, we can't. Like, that lady just had a heart attack at a Pizza Inn. Like, we can't have that. Like, we can't. And so I felt like that was enough. And then it was like, I was confused, because when he pulled the Jafar at the very beginning of the movie and the stone like dusted away, I was like, well, first, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just ask for power? Like, why do you want to grant other people's wishes? Because I was confused, because Max Lord's powers is normally, he's a master of he can manipulate people into doing things. And so that's what I thought he was going to wish for. I didn't know he was going to wish to become a genie. And it threw me off at the beginning, because I was hyped, because Max Lord is like one of those guys. It's like, he can really get in your head and like just make you do all kinds of crazy stuff just through manipulation type powers. But this, it was like, you want $1 million? Boom, you can have $1 million, but I want your kidney. And I'm like, all right, like, I don't.
So in other words, they should have really taken more time to explain the god that created the stone. Because if you explain that,
I don't even think that was even necessary. I think that the reality was that when he first got the stone, we needed to understand, or at some point, Diana should have had some kind of moment where she was talking to Barbara and researching, and just like, oh, okay, I know what God created this. And now we need to understand the way that this stone is actually functioning. If he is the stone, how is this working? If he's granted people's wishes, how is it not just a random circumstance? How is he able to benefit from both and sustain himself?
But didn't she do that?
Nah, all she did was she just identified what the guy was. She didn't go over, what were the consequence, why this actually worked, how he was able to do it. It was like, we got to get there. We got to get to him immediately.
No. When she read the inscription, right? And she noticed that it was from the language of the gods. And then they go to the little warehouse place. And Barbara pulls out the book and they explain who the god is.
Yes.
And what he does.
Yeah, it's a god of lies, but that's it. That's as far as they went with it.
They didn't go.
But then they did say that if he grants a wish, he takes away your most prized possession.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They glossed over that aspect of how does that actually work with Maxwell Lord if he doesn't have the stone, if he's actually the stone. Again,
but but that's the key part. I don't think they had to explain it with him. At that point with him, you kind of saw that what he was losing. His most prized possession was his son. I got that from the beginning of the movie. I thought, okay, that's his most prized possession. If he loses that, then that's it for him.
So okay, this is I don't know if I'm actually right with this, but because he became the actual stone, I thought the sacrifice was he was going to lose the ability to be with his son anymore. That he's gonna lose himself. Like he was gonna die. Like he was gonna basically be ripped off of this earth. Not necessarily something happened to the son, but I assumed it was that after everything, after he's gained all this, he won't have anything to give to his son because he's gonna be dead. That's what I always assumed. And the weird thing was when they were at the satellite thing, and you guys are right, like it made no sense. They didn't explain the technology of that in the White House at all. It made no sense. Yeah. But the reality was, even if the machine did work and he could hear consciously everybody's desires, his mind, I don't care if he was siphoning off everybody's energy, his mind would have exploded. He would have went crazy. By the end of it, like he would not have been able to mentally, cognitively have left and made it back to his son regardless. That made no sense. And then even from my negative, I felt like the moment that Diana got there, she should have just took out the freaking satellite. She didn't have to go inside. She could have just went straight at the satellite that she saw above. She was with Diana, like she was literally fighting Cheetah outside where the satellite was. Could she not have just taken down the satellite? That would have been it, right?
Did she know that the satellite was making him transform everything?
Yes, she even found it out. That was the whole point. Because when she found the convoy area where it was at, it was like, okay, this is where he's broadcasting everything. Because she even had a little bat cave herself. Was kind of like sitting there seeing where everything was going.
But that's the part of hope.
Man,
she takes the satellite out. He's dead. There's no redeeming him. But here you go. If you take the satellite away, all the wishes still are there. It don't stop the wishes from happening. Like
I see what you're saying.
I can't take the satellite away and think anything's going to change. You know what's going to happen? The nukes are still going to come and destroy everything. Because all I did was take him off of TV. What she had to do was get him and everyone else to hear him give away his wish for them to understand what to do.
Yeah, I got confused there. I'm not gonna lie. I will completely admit that I was too busy enjoying Hans Zimmer at that point to even be like, yeah, whatever they're wishing. It's
a beautiful lie. Don't worry about it. Leave it alone.
Right. I was like, ooh, I am in this track right now.
That is crazy. I know someone who absolutely loves everything Hans Zimmer does. A friend of ours who loves Hans Zimmer, and he said this is the worst thing he's ever heard from Hans Zimmer. He said it felt like Hans Zimmer's
soundtrack.
Yes, he said it feels like Hans Zimmer, and I went back to listen just to see why he said it. He said it felt like Hans Zimmer stole Inception score and put it over top of Wonder Woman. And I heard it, and I said, "Oh my God, it is super similar to Inception score." I mean, not Inception. I'm sorry, Interstellar score. Yeah,
I can see. I feel like I can hear composers, like I can hear different things in composers anyway. Like it's like if I hear any of Danny Elfman's music, I know his music anywhere else. Like, it's just, there's certain things that he does with it. It's like, oh wow, that sounded just like this, or this sounded just like that. And so when I looked at this, I was like, yeah, it's Hans Zimmer. I love Hans Zimmer. And so yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't really pick up on, like, I didn't ever feel like it was a ripoff of anything.
I hated his Wonder Woman thing. Absolutely hated it.
Wait, you talking about the original one?
No, this one in this film.
It's the same one, isn't it?
No, it's not. You play the two. Play this one and Junkie XL's version of it. It is not the same at all. Not remotely close. So it's because you hit the same keys, don't make it the same.
So, and they only played that at the mascara, or was it during the mall sequence? When did they play it?
It was the back half of the movie that I remember hearing it.
I remember hearing it in the back. I do remember hearing it in the back half. It might have been it might have been during the car chase.
Yeah, I think it was during the car chase.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was not. Never mind. I can't go into that negative right now. But I agree with you guys in terms of like all the negatives that you guys have. I mean, even with the one that took place where she started to lose her powers, I think that there's ways they could have, damage controlled that a little bit differently. But then to be fair, the very first one, even though it didn't have many action scenes, the era was completely different. The situation, the circumstances were completely different. This is World War I. Like, Diana was straight up killing people. Like, I mean, it wasn't like she was like, trying to save and preserve. Like, no, like she was trying to win a war. The circumstances were completely different. And in terms of intensity and action, like the No Man Land sequence, and even like some of the sequences where they were fighting, even in the encampment, were very intense. Even the mascara scene that was taking place with the Amazons, outshined all the different action beats in this movie. So it's like, I kind of agree with you, Lucas, but then it's kind of like they have to have something. And none of those action scenes in this one
does it
work.
You're talking about two completely different time periods. I'm bringing up the point that the first Wonder Woman doesn't have action in it. In the end, you can point out 4 action scenes. It's a 2.5 hour long movie with 4 action scenes. And in the first Wonder Woman, none of those action scenes last longer than 6 minutes. None of them.
They don't.
So that means it's not a lot of action. So then you can't then amazingly expect the next movie to be packed full of action. No, that would make no sense.
No, I'm not saying it's got to be packed. I'm saying that what people would critique is that it's not good action. The execution of the action scenes are not,
or is it not Wonder Woman level action? Because that movie and the way they shot those action scenes in that first Wonder Woman movie, there's not another superhero movie that looks like that.
It's not.
So if you're going to compare it to the first Wonder Woman, you're already going to be pissed. That's why I said if I compared it against the first Wonder Woman movie, the score would be lower. But if I compared it against, and I'm trying my hardest not to name one company because I don't like comparing them to, but if I compared it to that other company,
I know what you mean,
and the way that they shoot their action scenes, and I compared it to Wonder Woman 84, I would have no issue with them.
Go ahead, say it. This is unfiltered. Go ahead, say it. Lucas.
If you compared this to a Marvel action scene, what the hell would you expect?
Say it with your chest.
What were you expecting? Did anyone? Matter of fact, I don't even have to say Marvel, because technically, Far From Home is not a Marvel movie; it's a Sony movie. If I compared it to those action scenes, come on, what the hell were you expecting from Wonder Woman? Especially, and this is the key part I think that plays a part in villain, especially in a case where there's not a villain that she couldn't just easily kill.
Yep,
I think they're waiting for that godlike other villain to come up in Wonder Woman for Wonder Woman to really go toe-to-toe with.
Yep.
But even when she's going toe-to-toe with Cheetah in this movie, the goal isn't to kill Cheetah. That's never her goal.
It's not.
Right.
People want Wonder Woman to just go berserk and want to kill everything, and that's not gonna happen. At least in this movie, to me, it was never set up for that Wonder Woman.
It never was.
Yeah, they wanted it to end like Captain Marvel. That's what. But
thank God, because that's another movie with horrible action scenes.
Yeah,
but again, what were you expecting from Wonder Woman is the key part. To me, it goes into a lot of it being named Wonder Woman 84 and idiots not understanding that meant you were getting an 80s movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And the thing is, I feel like they went into it like, oh, wow, it's gonna be like Stranger Things, but with superheroes. And like, I felt like they really missed it. The action sequences, the one that I had an issue with, and it's bad because I felt like it set the tone for the whole movie. The Cirque du Soleil stuff they were doing at the very beginning on Themyscira when they were like backflipping in slow motion and softly landing. I don't know what's happening right now. Now there's a water slide in the middle of the forest. And it was it showed like, okay, yes, they're really awesome and they're really badass, but the way that they did it, I'm like, okay, now she's running up a waterfall and then she backflipped off of it without doing anything. Is it a show? Is it an event? Like, is it a fairground? Like, I think
you said it. I think you said it best there. And I think that's people's issue. When a film sets up its tone to you in the first 10 minutes, why are you expecting the tone to change?
But this is the thing. This is my issue though. This is my issue. I guess I don't understand how people decide to do things, because yes, the same people that are completely upset and bothered by this would pay $20 a ticket to watch Groot dance for an hour and a half. And ask no question. Like, oh man, look, Groot's flossing, y'all. He flossed. Oh my god, Groot just flossed, y'all. He did my favorite Fortnite dance. But the action sequences in Wonder Woman really bother me.
It's free. It's because it's free.
Yeah,
I think that plays a lot into it. It's because this is free, and it leads more weight to be criticized because it's free. Now, granted, keep in mind, we're saying this, and even when I look at audience reaction scores across the board, Wonder Woman is pretty decent in its reaction with audiences. It ain't like bad. It's just it's a small group that will hate this movie no matter what, because those same small group said the first Wonder Woman was a bad movie. That small group, and they're just louder now because this is the only superhero film they're going to get at the end of the year. But they didn't understand that coming into this movie that Wonder Woman isn't set up to be the huge action film.
You're right. And I think you're right, because the public opinion of it's not as bad as my Facebook timeline is making it. I just got folks I need to snooze. 2021 is coming.
Yeah, no. But that's the weird part for me when Sam brought this up. And he's like, man, people are going crazy. I'm like, not on my timeline. Yeah. Like, again, I don't have a superhero blurred centric timeline. So I have regular folks, and they are like, man, this movie is great.
Someone on my timeline compared it to The Room. Come on, man.
The Room? The Tommy movie?
You talking about Brie Larson? I was like,
no, that's Room.
No. And
hey, can I ask a question again? Not to compare. Did those same people feel that way about Captain Marvel? Because that's literally a horrible movie, and I've yet to understand what anything is likable in that movie.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
And that's the thing, man. I have a hard time even trying to chat, because I'm like, all right, you love Iron Man 3, but this movie just bothered you to the core. Like, come on. Did you complain once when Guy Pearce breathed fire for no reason? Like, no.
Because robots fought at the end. That's the key part. I'll go even further, and I don't have to compare it to a Marvel movie. If you are willing to tell me that Man of Steel is a good movie, you could get the blank out of here if you're telling me Wonder Woman 84 isn't. Okay? That movie is horrible.
Buy that. I'll buy that.
That movie is horrible. Including,
it's not horrible. It's not horrible.
It is horrible. Down to its Avatar beginning.
I feel about it.
And if you
I disagree completely.
If you can compare it to this, and that's how Wonder Woman's score rises to me. If I compare it against the other movies released by DC, this is still the third best movie that they've released. Like, it's better than Man of Steel, clearly BVS. Anything is better than that. It's better than Aquaman, and it's more entertaining than Aquaman. It just doesn't have Jason Momoa shirtless for an hour in the movie. Like, it depends on what you want here with this movie. It's not an action movie. It's really a drama, and that's what I liked about it more than anything else. Wonder Woman is a dramatic trilogy is what they're trying to put together with Wonder Woman.
And that was one of the things, that was one of the points I was making. I feel like we've gotten to this point now where superhero movies are just churned out of factories, just basically so quick and so fast that people expect the exact same thing. Here's a guy from a TV show who's a great villain, and now he's going to be the villain in this, and then there's going to be an epic fight at the end. Like, they're all like so close to being exactly the same with each other. And so it gets your attention span used to something very short and very minimal. Mm-hmm. And like, oh, look, an action sequence, 3 fart jokes, another action sequence, an action sequence, laugh at a fat guy, another action sequence. Like, and so it's gotten to a point where it's like, oh, here's the formula. Yeah. And we've got it. Like, if you know the quadratic formula, you can run any equation. And that's what people have been doing. And then this movie came along and it didn't exactly fit that formula. And so they're like, where are my action sequences? Where are my fat jokes?
Kind of like Venom. Because that's the comparison here. Where Venom did not fit a trend of what you expected these movies to look like.
Yeah.
And then it threw a lot of people off because they were like, wait a minute, this is nothing of what I like to see. It's just that Venom also leaned into over action kill. And I think that's something Patty has attempted to avoid with Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that part of it more than anything else. Please avoid using Wonder Woman as a blunt instrument. We know she's a blunt instrument if she wants to be. But I don't need to see. It's the same issue I have with Man of Steel is when you use Superman as a blunt instrument. He's more than that. Wonder Woman is more than that. Granted, we know that she can definitely be Captain Marvel if you need her to be Captain Marvel. But I don't need you to be a blunt instrument at all.
I just put that up just so you guys can see it.
I'm sorry. If it's not set in the 80s, are you just going to progress Wonder Woman 100 years for no reason? Like, again, that's the part that don't make sense at all. Do people not understand that unlike every other superhero movie, Wonder Woman, the first one was set in the 20s. When you set it in the 20s, would you want her to what's that movie? Winter Soldier it up until present time and leave a huge gap in the middle and never explain to, hey, this is
I would have liked to have known what was going on.
Too?
I would have liked to have known what was going on. I was hoping for maybe a Wonder Woman 44 before 84. Like, I'm not.
I think it's key time periods. Like in America, key time period is the 20s. Clearly, World War I.
Right, but I'm like,
another key time period to me would have been possibly the 60s. I definitely didn't want her in modern day yet because you've seen modern day Wonder Woman already.
Yeah.
So I think, again, when you're connecting it to what their whole DC story is, we know Wonder Woman in 2018, 2017, 2018. We know that one. They're trying to progress and show you, how did we get to that person?
How should we get to that point?
That's one thing that bothered me because you literally went from the 20s to the 80s, and I'm like, okay, like World War II was like 10 or 15 years later. Like, you need to touch on that. I need to know where you've been this whole time. Because please tell me you ain't just been chilling at the Smithsonian.
Right.
Like while all this other stuff is going on.
I think they're trying to just say that, well, yes, she was fighting crime and things of this over time because clearly she came in more control of her powers.
Exactly.
Right? So she clearly was fighting crime and things of that nature, but they needed another key time period for her. In the 80s, as much as people try to diss the 80s are clearly a huge time period in American history.
Oh yeah,
where a lot of things change. So I kind of like, and I didn't want them to do World War II because that's way too close. That's way I don't need to see her still in World War II. I think they did a great job, and I think this comes back from us doing the commentary on Wonder Woman for me to come to the realization of why you skip ahead. Once Steve kind of explained to her that, yeah, guess what? Ares ain't the only person that creates world wars. Like, people can be evil.
Yeah.
You need to go through any of those time periods of people being evil because she should already
That's
understand.
Fair. That's fair. I'll give you that.
But then the 80s is the time of America changing.
Yeah.
And people's perceptions of everything changing. And then you do the third Wonder Woman and you put it beyond whatever's happening with everything else in your DC setup stuff.
Yep.
That's why I love the point that it came into the 80s. It made perfectly good sense.
Yeah.
Because it's still a prequel series. For everybody out there that don't understand it, Wonder Woman is still a prequel series. Yeah. And it's made to be that. She was always set up to be the prequel series. She's older than everyone.
Yeah. Just so we can kind of finish up negatives, like we've been going for a whole hour on negatives. I didn't mean to take this long.
I think we flipped the positives about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, I ain't going to negatives. I ain't said shit. I ain't said nothing.
We gotta give Sam a chance to chew his food. Like we gotta let him.
I'm sitting there cycling through the conversations and everything else. But I mean, for me,
I told you I was ready.
No, I got questions out here myself, and I'm taking questions from other people. But I mean, one of the things that I did find a negative the second time watching it that I didn't the first time was the progression that Steve got here. One, I didn't like the conversations that were happening after Steve just happened to get there and how he got there. It was like the jokes weren't hitting. I was actually really worried. By the time they got to the Airspace Museum, I was like, I don't know. But then they started to go into like, you know, his view on life now. Like he didn't see the Jetsons. He didn't have any perception of what a future could be. He just knew war. And to see the beauty of everything was amazing. So that progression worked out later on. But it was kind of like, even the fact of her making a wish and it affecting somebody else's body, and she knowingly knows that this is not Steve's body. She's just using somebody else's body, and she is cool with it. I mean, one, the way that it got to that point didn't make any sense. But the fact that this whole entire film, there was never a moment that she kind of looked in the mirror and was like, dang, I'm using somebody's body. Man, this is wrong. Or dang, like she kind of like looks at him and then all of a sudden she looks to see somebody completely different. I was left to assume the first time I watched it, okay, maybe her perception, she actually only sees Steve. But when I looked at it again, I'm like, no, there was a moment where he looked at this stuff in his eyes and he talked to her. He's like, yeah, this guy, he's got it. I was like, wait. So she knows this is somebody's whole other body, but she's using.
She says it in the movie.
Like, that's messed up, though. Like,
and I think,
that's not cool, bro.
And I think, honestly, I thought that was done on purpose. Because I felt like the reason they did that was to show just how much she missed him.
Yep.
And how she would be willing to do anything to get him back. And the lesson to be learned for her in the movie is that some things you just have to let go for the greater good. And I think that's why they did that, because she was like, my baby's back? Like, he's back?
All she cared about. Nothing else mattered at that point.
That was it. Yeah. She's like, my baby is back. He eating Pop-Tarts and cheese. I am living my best life.
She had a selfish moment, which makes sense.
And I think that was the point of it, that she was just looking directly past it, asking no questions at all. And then at a certain point in the movie, Steve was like, all right, look, I'm be real with you. I'm glad I'm back. This has been great. But you gotta go back to work, baby girl. Like, you gotta.
I think it's that first scene when they're in that room together and he's looking into the mirror and he sees the other guy and it pans to her and she says, all I see is you. Great. It shows the selfishness right there of what she wants is more important to her than anything else. And I think they play that up with a point that they showed that everyone else she knew and is connected to is gone.
Yeah.
The point that this consciousness has come back into her life, she was willing to give up her powers to keep him there.
Yeah, but it's different because she's chosen that. I mean, well, yeah, true. She's choosing everybody else's well-being just to keep Steve. I get that, and that's what hit me. And that's what it hit me so hard on the things that I love about this film is the emotion, the raw emotion for different characters. Is one of the things I love about this film. But the thing about it for me is that she never, even after she made the decision of choosing to go back, it was never any kind of remorse for what she did to this man. And I mean, granted, it's the 80s and stuff. Like, I mean, I don't know what relationally what she was doing.
It's Wonder Woman known to show remorse.
Yes.
No, for her actions.
But dang. I'm just saying that for me, it kind of was like, yo, that goes beyond selfishness. Like that's like
that's the
I don't know. I don't know how to really describe it, man. And it kind of bothered me.
Well,
isn't that the point of the song?
I think honestly, I feel like that was the point because it's like, all right, in the 20s, she fell in love and has not been in love since then. Like homegirl's literally been grieving for the last 60 years. And all of a sudden he's back and she's just like, I've been waiting.
I'm ready to give it all.
I've been waiting literally my whole life ever since then for this. And it showed that it showed that thin line of love versus infatuation. And it was like when Steve was back, she was willing to just let all of it go. And at the same time, like, yeah, we can do some superhero stuff on the side, but the whole undoing the wish thing isn't an option. No, we don't.
How many great songs do we have of people saying, I will give up it, I will give it all up for love. I don't care what it is.
So I wrote something down. My last negative, but I don't know if this is a plot hole or not. So just y'all bear with me, okay?
All right.
At the end of the film, for good or bad, the third act, some of the emotional moments of that really hit me. I really resonated with. But while Maxwell Lord was in the middle, and like Diana was like, you gotta change things back. You gotta change things back. And like Max chooses to renounce his wish, but the only wish that he made was to become the stone, right? When he when he renounced the wish, that means that the stone would go back to where it started, right? That means that while she's got the lasso over him, that's not doing anything, right? Because he's no longer the object of the wish anymore. The stone is somewhere else. So when he renounced that and chose to do that, if anybody else after that point hadn't renounced, it never would have worked, right? Am I wrong?
You mean after
so yes, he renounced his wish, meaning that the stone was back to his own self. It went back to, a stone form right back in the office.
Where every wish that he granted as the stone would also go away.
Yeah, that's what I took from it. I
never thought that.
I thought they said that in the movie. Like
if he's no longer the stone, then how did you make a wish?
Because when they made the wish, they were making a wish for the stone. He was the stone, right? So at that point,
if everybody, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. After that point, that's when everybody started renouncing their wish.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if she's no longer threaded, if he's no longer threaded that whole entire time, and the stone is somewhere completely different, how would that work with them being connected?
I thought the reason they were connected was just because of the satellite. It wasn't because of like magic. I thought they could just hear him.
Yeah.
Because of the whole satellite. That's what I thought.
Satellite scene makes no sense.
Yeah,
because
it
there
does.
is no magical connection.
Because everybody won't watching TV. But
Exactly.
Exactly.
Some people just listening. Like that's why I said the whole satellite scene makes no sense. But as for
did Cheetah ever renounce her wish?
Yes.
I don't think she did.
Yeah.
No. She never.
You don't see her do it, but at the end of the movie, isn't she back human again?
But that wasn't her wish, though. Her wish was to be like Diana.
No,
she gave her the ability to be a predator. That gave her.
Okay, that's right.
She says it when she's laying there. At the end of the movie, she says, "I renounce my wish."
Are you sure?
100%.
I don't think
it's one of the scenes I always remember because to me it was cheesy.
I don't think she did.
I don't like the whole everybody renouncing the wishes. Granted, it's very 80s, but I don't like it.
It was very, very 80s. Like it was something straight out of the Never-Ending Story. It really was. It really was. And that's why I didn't get mad at it because I'm like, oh.
We're hour and 10 minutes in. Can we finally get to the 80s part of this movie? Because that's the part I like the most of this movie.
No. So now we're going into the positives. I don't have any more negatives. Let's go into what did you love about this? I already told you guys I could talk forever about the different emotional beats of this. But what was it that you guys loved about this film? What did you like about the film and why? Lucas.
Oh, great. I was waiting to see everything about the 80s in this movie. From the moment it came on, I think I communicated with Sam, especially about that first scene. I said, dude, this is the most 80s movie I've ever seen in at least in the last 15 years. Down to that whole scene at the mall, which I believe is beautifully shot. And it sets up to let you know, like, hey, not only is it Wonder Woman 84, we're going to shoot this, and these people are going to act like they're in an 80s movie. And I love the point that they did that. Down to Pedro, am I saying the guy's name right?
Pascal
doing his best Superman Gene Hackman. Like, I loved everything about the way that they set up the whole 80s vibe beyond just the music. Because when normally when movies say we're set in the 80s, all they do is give you clothes and music. They don't really shoot it, and they don't have characters act like they're in the 80s. Down to when the little girl is thrown into the stuffed teddy bear. If that wasn't a Radio Shack commercial, nothing is. Like
it definitely was. It's straight up
perfectly set up that way. I love the beats of this movie at times. The emotional beats are amazing. Mm-hmm. Down to that running away scene when she renounces her gift. Her wish, it was crazy. Like, it's a lot to like about the movie because it's very campy. It's very silly at times, but it still has a serious undertone that makes you understand you're still watching a Wonder Woman movie.
Yep.
Yeah. I definitely agree there. I really loved the 80s feel. Like, even when they showed Max Lord's, like, commercial where he's pointing at the screen, I'm like, man, this feels like something straight out of those late 80s, early 90s infomercials. 1-800-GOLD right now or something. Like it felt so genuine, like the shoulder pads and all of the jackets and then the emotional scenes. One sequence I really did like that I thought they did really well was when they showed Max Lord's past and everything that had happened to him. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, man, like, because it just shows, like, so many times the villains are just hurt humans. Mm-hmm. And I really, really like that because, that's how it is with a lot of villains, where no matter what they're trying to do, at the end of it all, something happened when they were a kid and it messed them up. It scarred them. And that's something that could happen to anyone. And so, that movie, like the third act just brought a whole lot of really raw emotion. Like the relationship between him and his son, the relationship between Diana and Steve, and honestly, just seeing, I think, and it might have been the way 2020 is, but just showing hurt people all over the world getting their wish and then having to give that up for the greater good. Like, That feels that really touched. I feel like this present time that we're living in, and so it sat with me. It sat with me a lot.
Yeah. I definitely, for me, one thing that I really do appreciate is that Gal has gotten better as an actress.
She has.
She not only owns this in this specific movie, she is Wonder Woman. It's kind of like, it's weird. I know me and Lucas talked about it when we looked at 2017's Wonder Woman, that she just became this character, but she some kind of a way was able to extend it out and make it even more of a depth-filled character. Because again, you guys were telling me like, man, this is her decision, like that's selfish nature. She learned this back when she was young, and it came back to fruition later on, foreshadowing. But I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. This scene right here.
Hey, he got so excited that the scene cut him off.
Oh, man, what happened? I just did it.
Hey, I said you got so excited that the scene cut you off. He was like, in this scene here, I thought you broke down and you just didn't want to let anybody see you cry about that scene. I said, oh, you got emotional. It's cool.
So that scene and this scene right here, one, it showed me a couple different things about Gal's ability of range of emotion, but it really did actually hurt me because even in this scene, like Barbara was kind of like fighting with her, and like, you know, Diana's sitting there trying to preserve the police officers and security detail, and like basically she beats her down to the point that like daggone, she looked terrible. But Barbara, she was like, Barbara, you got to stop this. Like, look at yourself. And Barbara's like, yo, don't worry about me, homie. Look at you.
Yeah.
And like, at that moment, Diana had to realize what she had become. Not only did she no longer have her godlike power, but she willingly knew and gave it up. She was choosing to not only preserve Maxwell Lord's life out of preservation, but really it was preservation for her needs. And the moment that I think Steve tried to get in, he got knocked down. I was like, yo, Barbara, you could have straight up just killed this man and made it all done, but Barbara still had levels of her own humanity still there. And so kind of she looked at it, it's like, daggone, I couldn't even protect the man that I love. Like, this ain't gonna work. And she broke down. Like, I really truly loved the way that she acted in that. And then even this scene right here, man, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I was like, I did get emotional. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Like, we were, I forget when it was that they shot this in 2018, Lucas, but I was down there when they were filming some of that. And I was kind of like, what the heck is going on? And seeing like everybody around during this moment where they were just like, we need help. Like, I think one security guard or police officer like, Wonder Woman, help. And he's sitting there on the phone and she just sitting like, I can't help you, homie. And like Steve kind of gets her to the wall and like basically was like, look, like I've lived this whole life. I'm not even here right now. And she was like, I ain't never gonna love again. I was like, oh no, I can't.
Right.
I can't with this. He's like, I hope not, but look, like people need you. And what made it so bad is he was like, I can't. She said something along the lines of like, I can't do this again. I can't say goodbye. He's like, you don't have to. I'm already gone. She leaves, and then he says something in the backdrop and just broke my whole heart, bro. Like, and it was perfect to me because that was the thing when she literally started to like. I didn't notice it the first time. But her wound started to go away, and she kickstarted stuff into the air. Now the run was really cheesy. I did not like the way that
I love the run.
I was like, that's so darn.
It was very Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump.
I was like, what are they doing?
I love that run.
It didn't matter because at the moment where she let out like the yell and just in the air and like recalling everything that he was talking about Flight and her love for him. Made that direct connection to be what she needed to be next. I was like, yo, this is so hopeful. This is so wholesome. And I love that. Like, it really is to what Keeden was saying. Like, in a situation we are right now, like people not only are jobless, they are filling with nothing but hopelessness in their hearts. And it's kind of like, if you really value the movie in and of itself, you can really get something hopeful and meaningful out of this. Like, granted, it didn't have the best, CG with some of the fights. Granted, it didn't have a good fluid story, but there are hopeful, immersive, emotional moments that really can hit you. Like, it really is good. Even like you said, Pedro Pascal and his son. I forget, what did you say about that, Lucas? You said something about that. What did you feel about their relationship with the Pedro? What did you feel about Pedro Pascal as in general? As him as a character,
he was chewing up as much scenery as humanly possible in this movie. It felt like that Patty may have told him, "This is the direction I want you to go in, and then I'm gonna let you have fun with this character." Because the entire film, he feels like he's having the best time at playing Maxwell Lord. It is super over the top. To me, it was always a better version of what Gene Hackman attempted to do with Lex Luthor. And I love the point that he did it that way, because you needed someone to be over the top in this movie.
Yeah, and he did it very well. He did it very well.
80s cheesy, down to when you don't know who I am. Let me show you. Like, that's
I'm gonna get you a 19-inch TV from this Sears catalog, girl.
Hey.
That floor. You already know.
She threw some shade at him too. She was like, I don't really look at TV. Lying through her teeth, got a whole bunch of Batcave TVs all over her door.
But also, one other thing I wanted to touch on that I realized on the second time of watching it, as you see when Barbara's going through the guards and stuff at the White House, and you see the way Diana looks at her, it came across that Diana's looking at her like, so this is me if my powers go unchecked.
Oh, wow.
If I lose any sense of humanity, this is what I will become. Because I can do all of this with no issue. And I thought that was a deeper connection between those two. Because in the end, they had a friendly relationship. This was never meant, again, that's why I said Cheetah's not a villain. She's a character of circumstance. She's clearly not a villain in this movie. And I thought that whole White House scene was great because it showed that.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. I didn't even think about it from that standpoint, because it's weird. Like, because she really was going out for people. Like, I was kind of like, the moment when Barbara went and had her moment where she almost got ambushed. I forget what park she was in DC or whatever. And Wonder Woman came to save her. I was like, bet, cool. Then she kind of slowly starts to understand, oh man, I'm strong. Oh man, like I have this, but she still was like her little innocent self. But when she saw that man again, and she was like, no, no. I was kind of like, low key, that was when I was like, you know what? If they continued this character later on and just allowed it to naturally progress, she could be a really good villain. She really could. And it was kind of like, it wasn't even she didn't want to become a victim, but she was like, how dare you even step on this earth in front of me? Like, no, I'm about to take you off this earth. Like, I was like, it was scary. Like, straight up, like Wiig did a good job.
How many parallels of that? How many parallels did you get from the first Wonder Woman in that moment? Because I got them.
Wait, elaborate.
The way Diana looked at Ares, or anyone she thought was Ares, and how you're not.
It was on site. Yeah,
you're not going to be on this earth. How dare you stand in front of me? And that's the way that Barbara was becoming, and that was supposed to be her becoming Wonder Woman, and not understanding that without the humanity part of Wonder Woman is a complete monster.
Ooh, man, no, I didn't even think about it like that. That's actually really good. Let's see. Let's keep going here. It looks like it's going to be a couple of different people that are going to jump in, talk about some things they liked. For me, another thing that I don't know if it's a negative or a positive necessarily. Never mind. I'm not going to go into that. Let's talk about the other thing. Let me bring it up really quick. When you guys got done with the movie, how did you guys actually feel emotionally the first time you watched it? Like, what was your, emotional feeling coming out of the film? Because, like you said, Lucas, it's different going into the movie theaters and seeing it versus going and seeing it at home. When I saw it the second time with my wife, I actually had more of an enjoyable time seeing it with her because she really loved it. Like she really enjoyed it. Like it was campy and cheesy, yes, but we had a really good immersive time with it. But I was curious for you guys seeing it. I don't know if you saw it by yourselves or not, but how did you feel coming out of the film, regardless of your score?
So with me, I ended up seeing it a little bit differently because we ended up having to do some family stuff. So I watched like the first hour and a half. I watched the first hour and a half of it, and then this morning I watched the last hour, and so it almost felt like two very different movies because that last part was they packed so much emotion into that last part while they were setting up in the beginning. And so after the first hour and a half, I left and I was like, the whole time I was like, man, I hope they can stick the landing because there's a lot going on right now. And then of course this morning when I watched the last hour, I was crazy emotional. Like, Jesus, like I'm sitting here holding my baby and like, what would be my wish? And like, I'm crying and just Zimmer's playing in the background. I'm like, soft, man. I was a mess. It was crazy.
Nah, that's what's up. All right,
I never teared up watching somebody swing from clouds. Like, what is happening? what is 2020 done to me? But yeah, I walked away from it. It was it was hopeful. It was very hopeful because it was like the way that it wrapped. It's like, man, this was good. I felt like I needed that movie. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I did. Like that last arc in the movie really stuck with me.
Yeah, I can completely agree. What about you, Lucas? How did you feel coming out of the film?
I'll say it the same way I said it last time. I think I said in our group chat after watching the screener of it, I said, oh man, this is like 80s awesomeness filled with enough hope to make up for Man of Steel. That's the way I felt. Like it is super packed with like just a good feeling. You don't get to see too many movies, especially now, that just feels positive. And that's what it did. This felt super positive. And I loved it for that reason. Throughout all its flaws, and it has flaws, in the end, it just gives you this hopeful message of what the world can be and what people can be. And I liked it for that reason.
Yeah. All right. So really quick, we're going to add two people in and they're going to talk about what they liked about the film really quick. This is Manti and this is Blackwing 2040. Here you go. What's going on, gentlemen? Welcome.
What's going on, good people?
Hey. How's it going? All right.
So real quick, what did you guys like about Wonder Woman 1984? You can add on to something we ain't talked about, or you can tag on anything that we have, talked about.
Wow. I'm gonna let you go, Blackwing. I'm gonna let you go first. You look ready, like you ready to swan dive into.
My bad, bro.
No, you good.
For me, well, the first thing I said to myself, like, there's no freaking reason why this movie needs to be 2.5 hours long, because, oh my gosh, that was the first thing I said to myself. But overall, I still had, like a good time with the movie. Like Lucas said, it has its flaws, and I was really picking up on them flaws, like close to around to like the second half of the film. But overall, it's fun. It has its cheesy moments. Of course, you know me, I'm a big sucker for Easter eggs, so I loved the stuff that they added to her lore and everything. Of course, how she was able to make the jet invisible was very confusing to me, but I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, she got the invisible jet! She got the invisible jet! And then, of course, like around entering the third half, I'm like, is she flying? She's freaking flying. I'm like, she's actually flying. There were so many moments that just made me just like, go into whole full-on geek mode. I enjoyed it for what it was. The movie is a solid 3 out of 5 for me.
That's fair enough. What about you, Ty?
So for me, I had to watch it a second time to really be like, okay, people are really ripping this movie apart. And I'm like, I thought it was absolutely great. But then when you started seeing some of the things and you had certain questions, you know, I was like, okay, I get it, but I still loved it. I actually, like Blackwing said, I liked how they incorporated some of the things that into that lore. For example, the fact that the jet was invisible, and it's based on how her father hid the mascara. I thought that was great, and I also like the fact that they didn't pull like a 1980s Wonder Woman where, you know, the jet is invisible, but you could still see her sitting there flying it. I thought that was great, you know, and you know, like it was said with her flying through the clouds and how they incorporated that. My biggest issues with a lot of the incorporation of this stuff, it was stuff that wasn't shown in Batman v Superman. Dawn of Justice. So her flying, of course, the invisible jet piece, like this stuff wasn't incorporated. But what I like overall, especially from the perspective where someone had said, you know, this is like, you know, recompense for Man of Steel. I actually thought this was recompense for Batman v Superman and Justice League. I actually liked Man of Steel. It's the fact that they're now starting to understand what Marvel has done. You know, I think with them trying to chase that Marvel money, they kind of did things fast. And when they realized they were going to crap out, they said, okay, well, let's start with Aquaman and try to make. And if you notice, the movies progressively get brighter and better from those first three. So, like, if you look at Batman v Superman, her whole suit, her whole outfit is like bronzed and dark. The picture that JVS just showed where she's in the White House fighting, it's like a brighter red, you know, and you're starting to see this progression of these movies where I think if they had left Justice League alone, or even taken Batman v Superman and Man of Steel out and made them like the last movies to pull everybody together, it might have worked out better for them. The only real issue I had with Wonder Woman 84 is pick a villain. Well, two things. One, pick a villain, and two, I think they should have kept Cheetah permanent, because even though at first I thought she made a second wish, but because Max Lord gave her what she really wished for after, which is that whole apex predator, I thought one of the prices should be she had to remain that way, but it didn't happen. But pick a villain, because we're led towards Cheetah, then in comes Max Lord, then we're fighting Cheetah, and then we're dealing with Max Lord. Like it kind of took us on a confusing path a bit, and I think that's what led to a bunch of the different questions and plot holes and issues that people have. Like, you're about to basically start a whole nuclear holocaust, yet you get a free ride to your helicopter back to some place in DC, and your son just happens to show up out of the bushes like, ha, surprise, you know, I've been here the whole time waiting for you, Dad. On top of which, yo, this kid is completely and totally Asian. Where's his mom? Like, can we, I mean, nothing against that, but can we see the mother and how she's affected by this? Cheetah, and my thing is, you know, I didn't really feel the connection between Max Lord and Cheetah. I understand she wanted to keep her stuff, but at the same time, there isn't any kind of connection. Like, for example, Batman Returns, Michael Keaton Batman Returns. Catwoman and Penguin are both victim of circumstance. The circumstance of his condition being born he can't control, you know, and Max Schreck pushing her out of a window. They have this combined effort because they're both victims of the world and how the world's been cruel to them. There's no real connection here between Max Lord and Cheetah. And matter of fact, if he had just worked a little harder and been more honest, he probably could have achieved the things that he wanted. And if someone had invested some time into Barbara Minerva and gave her help her gain a little confidence and maybe worked on her wardrobe a bit, she could have easily been what she wanted to be without the whole Diana superpower piece. So that's really my whole piece when it pertains to the movie. But at the end, even with all of that, I still loved it. I think it's a representation of the progression of where DC and WB are going, and I enjoyed it.
All right, I'm bringing one last person in. He's gonna express what he felt about this. What you doing
What's
here,
up,
man?
guys? No, I saw it the same way that Keeden saw it, where I saw an hour and like 20 minutes of it yesterday, and then I finished seeing it literally right as this chat started. So for me, it's all fresh in my mind. But yeah, like the first I'll say like part of the movie really kind of like I was seeing it and obviously trying to stay away from spoilers, but I know how life was. Once a movie comes out after 48 hours, if you haven't seen it, there are going to be spoilers left
Spoilers
and right.
everywhere.
So I was on all these group chats where people were just bashing it. And it was what I kind of saw was that people either loved it or hated it. There was no in between at all. Um, and when I saw the first hour or so of it, I was kind of like, ugh, like it's an okay movie. But that last, like chunk of it, like last hour and a half, where it was just phenomenal. Like I loved it. Um,
Yeah.
I think the only stuff that kind of really threw me off, or I guess for me, maybe I just needed more explanation. She talked about for that hot second how the golden armor was basically like saved humanity and and all this fun stuff back in the day. But then she's fighting Cheetah and Cheetah's destroying this thing left and right. And for me, I was like, hold up. So you could survive like 10,000 men like beating the crap out of it, but this one little apex predator destroying it all up. So I would say overall though, I love where this movie is going and the tone of it throughout it. Um I'm just excited in that. I don't know if you guys talked about the end credit scene or any of that, but when you were saying how did you feel as soon as you got done with the movie? So like the movie ended and I was just like, yo, this was dope. And that last little bit, that little cameo for me was just like threw it over for me. And I was just like, yep, I'm like, this is up there for me now. And I do agree. I don't know which one of you guys said it a little bit ago, but it's almost like DC is now like firing in the right way, like going against Marvel instead of trying to just emulate Marvel immediately, and like rushing things. Like I love this new pace that they're going with. So yeah, overall though, I thought it was dope. The only scene that I did not like at all was her first flying scene. Um, like that CG that they use, like come on, like DC is better than that. And it was weird because that scene looked super cheesy to me, but then when she's like lassoing off the lightning, I was just geeking out. So it's like it's both ways. But no, overall though, I loved it. I thought this was awesome, and Gal definitely, like you were saying, I definitely agree. Her acting and the way she showed emotion was phenomenal. And the one thing I don't think any of you guys talked about for a little bit, but you kind of talk about how Gal, like Wonder Woman, like let go of her, like, renounced Steve and all that. But in reality, it was Steve who renounced his own power in a sense. And he was the one who was like, I'm already gone. Like this, I'm done. And it kind of shows you Steve, as much as he wanted to be there with her and, like love on her and all that, it shows you that, like he loved her enough to just, in a sense, push her away.
Yeah.
And just kind of say like, you know, I wish I could be with you. We had our time, but more people need you. So it kind of shows how unselfish he was at that point. It's almost like one of those things like the yin to the yang, like when your spouse is, on the down, obviously you're on the up, and then when you're on the down, you hope that she's on the up type of thing. So I thought that was a very, for me, that's kind of how I saw that part. And I thought that was really, really nice, the way that she did that final scene there. And as she was running, just kind of healing herself, I thought that was dope.
Yeah. So it's one thing I wanted to bring up because all you guys have touched on a lot of different emotional like appeal to this one. When you think about, and you can go Marvel, you can go DC, current DC. How does this rank in terms of emotional I guess resonance in a superhero film for you guys? How does this rank for you guys in terms of like, you know, we talked about the dynamic of why Maxwell Lord's doing what he's doing. It's cheesy, it can't be. It's like what he's really doing, what the core of it he's actually doing. We talked about the surrounding theme of hope, you know, that guides this film. We talked about like people's desires and ambitions and the selfishness behind it. But I'm asking because I haven't heard anybody bring this up, but how would you guys compare this to the other superhero films? Because honestly, this movie does something to me that I don't feel like a lot of superhero movies tread. So I was just curious from you guys' perspective, any of you guys, if you want to compare this to any of the other Marvel or DC films in terms of emotional resonance and connection.
Yeah, I felt like with this one, there was a lot more personal emotional connection. Like it's something that I felt like I could understand. It felt like one of those kind of movies where you walk away and you're like, huh, that's a very good point that they made. Like I didn't walk away from Guardians of the Galaxy like, huh, I learned something about myself. I mean, I didn't walk away from Batman Forever feeling that way, you know, like but I think part of it too is where I'm specifically at in life right now. Like that whole relationship between Max and his son and figuring that out, like that resonated with me a whole lot. Like I said, I was holding my little boy the whole time I was watching the movie. And so, yeah, it resonated with me a lot, but I think a lot of that has to do with what's going on with me personally, like at the very moment when I saw it.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
I think.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was
Sorry. I think. For me, I have to say that as far as emotional moments, I can say it kind of resonates a little bit like between this and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, because Guardians 2 had like, I didn't really like Guardians 2. I prefer the first one over the second one, but as far as emotion goes, the emotion hits hard in Guardians Volume 2, and I could kind of see that with Wonder Woman 84 because I didn't watch the movie like twice. I only watched it once on Christmas Day. Just hearing you guys discuss it, it kind of, you know, I'm pulling all the pieces together, and you'd really see like how Diana, you know, struggles. And Sam, you did bring this up, how, you know, all the people that she was working with during World War I were pretty much all died, and she had nothing left to live for. She was alone. And so with her having Steve back for that, you know, however amount of time that she had with him, it was like her one chance of her to find happiness. But pretty much her real happiness came is, you know, that she had to let Steve go, because if she didn't let go, she's pretty much losing herself. And that showed, because, like, you know, emotionally, she's not all there when she's fighting, but without Steve, she's all in.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are going to bug out when I say this, or going to be upset when I say this, but that particular near end, the emotional end of Wonder Woman 84, I would say is on the same level as Avengers Endgame.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. People are gonna be like, "What?" But think about it.
Everybody, calm down the chat.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. But here we go. I'm gonna give you my comparisons. Diana's sacrifice of Steve to me is the equivalent of Iron Man's sacrifice to save everyone. It's knowing that's what she wants, but knowing she has to let him go. Also Tony understanding that the one thing he wanted out of that whole situation was to be able to survive, to be with his wife and raise his daughter. He knew he was going to have to give that up to give her a future. And Diana giving him up to give humanity a future, I think is on the same level, which is why when you see that scene with Pepper at the very end, and she's telling him, we're going to be okay. Get your rest. Like, I think that was the equivalent. Like, Steve's like, I'm already gone. I'm rested. Do what you need to do. The scene with Jon Favreau talking to Morgan and saying, you know, she wants a cheeseburger. That's the equivalent for me of Max Lord and his son. You know, there, even though he's not her father, he's like, I got this. Like, Tony, I got your family. We're good. Like, it's on that same level. You know, when everybody is standing by the lake, you know, when everybody comes back to the lake to send Tony off, like, to me, it's that same level of emotion. I understand people are not going to like it. I understand people are going to say, yo, I'm crazy. I'm out of my mind, whatever. But when you compare the two, especially when it means the ultimate sacrifice, even if that ultimate sacrifice is for an individual, I think it's on that same level. Now, is the movie overall like Endgame? No. But those little key moments at the end of Endgame and those little key moments at Wonder Woman 84, I think are on that level, which is why I think they're now going in the right direction. But yeah, that's how I felt about the emotion. It was there. It was there. Wrapped in a what could be a better movie, but it was there.
Okay. So, on emotional, for one, superhero movies don't have emotion at all. I can't get emotional about any of these movies. But if you would compare them to another movie, it would be on a lower end of as a whole film from an emotional standpoint is on a lower end of most anyone superhero movies. It has beats in it that could work, but it's not enough payoffs in those beats to make the overall movie and as an emotional impact as some of the other films. Even lesser films may have had more of an emotional impact than what Wonder Woman 84 gives you. Again, it just plays off certain scenes better. Like the Diana scene with her and Steve running away. Great. That's an amazing emotional scene. But if I go back to when she first met Steve, there's no emotion in that scene, and it should have been packed full of emotion. I think that's the point that they missed a lot with this film, is the scenes that should have been packed full of emotion, they weren't. And then they would try to make up by giving you one that's kind of overly packed with it. But again, from a standpoint of superhero films, which you don't tune into superhero films for emotion, you get the cheesiness of it if you're going to go for the emotional aspects. Like any movie where someone dies at the end and just a big send up, that's cheesy as hell. I don't care about any of that. That's a cheap way to get emotion out of a film. So to me, it falls into that same lower category because I felt the same way when the end of Endgame happened. When they had that whole emotional send up, I said, oh, this is stupid and cheesy. And Wonder Woman at times feels that way. The superhero movies that work best with emotion are the ones that don't necessarily resonate with big emotional scenes. Winter Soldier is a superhero film packed full of emotion, but doesn't have an overly huge emotional scene. And you don't need overly huge emotional scenes to pack your film with emotion. You just need to have those characters emote better with their feelings. And for Wonder Woman 84, it's on the back end of that. I wanted to say kind of like Thor 2, but I'm thinking of the wrong Thor. It may be Thor 3 I'm thinking of that I will put Wonder Woman in that same vein.
Are you talking about Thor Ragnarok?
That may be it. It's one of those movies of Thor that kind of fake emotion. I can't remember which one it was.
And go ahead.
I was gonna say I find it kind of wild that you say that superhero movies don't have, or you don't feel emotional connection, because like Infinity Gauntlet for me, like when that movie ended, that was just like, that was a punch to the gut. Like when you kind of talk about emotions and stuff that it invokes, and Endgame at the end of it, I thought I see the correlation between, you know, kind of like Iron Man and Wonder Woman. I think the biggest difference is Iron Man has been in God, how many movies now since before that happened? And Wonder Woman has realistically
22.
been in what? Yeah, it's like Wonder Woman has been in what, 4 movies now? Like she was in both Wonder Womans now, Batman v Superman, and Justice League. Is there any other one or no?
No.
No, I think that'll
Yeah, I
cover
think
it.
that's it. So when you kind of look at the emotional side of it, like something like this in this movie, like in Wonder Woman, like I think could have projected a lot more emotion. If there was a lot more, I guess, meat to it, to her character. But I mean, four movies in, you're really not going to evoke that. I think for me, I kind of agree. It's though I got a lot of emotions, which is odd to say, from the villain more than anything, just because I got a son, and I know how it is, how you want your son to view you as, the superhero of the world, basically. So for me, I understood that crazy trip that the villain in this movie was going through. So that was evoking a lot of emotion, and so yeah, but I'll disagree with you that superhero movies don't invoke emotions, because I definitely think that they do for sure.
Yeah.
You have to be overly connected to them. I can't get an emotional connection out of a superhero film. I've tried again, and
I've tried.
someone brought up Infinity War, and Sam will tell you in our group chat we make fun of that movie every day. Every day something fake happens, sad. The first thing someone says is, "Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good." Like that's the funniest scene in the world to me. Like no emotion came from me for that movie. Humor. Humor was my emotion from that movie. I felt it gave me a chuckle. And as far as like trying to build those emotions, I don't like it. Again, death is a cheap way to get that emotion out of a character.
Yeah.
When you can build a character up and just have them go through things, and they don't even have to show the emotion for it to feel emotional. And that's just coming from like watching lots of dramas and watching lots of any other film genre. That's the way you build emotion. You build it through character development. So when you go cheaply with it, it feels that way with me with an Infinity War. The good part about Diana is that it didn't feel cheap. When she was running away from Steve, that moment felt great because you felt her emotion in that moment. When Tony Stark snaps his finger at the end of the game, I felt nothing. I said, oh, so maybe he'll be in the next movie. Like it did nothing for me.
Savage.
No, I can't. Yeah, I
Savage.
can't agree with that. I think if anybody can induce emotion based on the buildup of all of them, it's Tony Stark. Tony Stark is the cusp of what is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he made one thing very clear from the very beginning of Endgame. I got a wife. I got a daughter. I'm trying to be here for him, and in the end, he doesn't get to do it. And while they don't bring that up at the end, the fact that he made that his core thing for even wanting to help them, and you go back to it, yeah, it does spark a bit of emotion. And the ending scene by the lake, I thought was a very emotional moment, yet they said nothing in that whole entire scene except Jon Favreau getting the grilled cheeseburgers, really. And when he talks to his his wife and daughter through the helmet. But that scene where everybody just shows up, I think that was very emotional.
Man, look, I'm gonna tell you something about Lucas. Lucas don't care about any of these darn superhero movies.
Clearly.
Like I felt more emotion when Luke came back to get Grogu at the end of
That was very emotional. That was great though. That was very emotional.
Keeden, to close us out, what did you think about my question? I think I might say something, but I might not.
I don't even know where to start with these folks, man. I just like I said, I feel like a lot of the hate, a lot of the controversy is coming just from I don't know, just from people that it's not their cup of tea. I'm just making sure when you say controversy, there's not like anything crazy in the news that I've missed or anything, right?
So okay, so real quick, so I mean, for me, I think that the scenes in this movie, the emotionally resonant scenes in this movie, evoked me having an emotional reaction where normally superhero movies I don't have at all. I mean, I definitely I felt some things with Infinity War, I felt some things with Endgame, but it didn't provoke a tear or anything like that. This scenes in this movie worked. The fullness of the movie, no. But there's scenes in this one that really, truly actually hit me where other superhero movies didn't. In terms of the controversy side of things, there are people that just are bashing this film like it is the worst thing ever. We brought it up. You made a comparison. Somebody said this was comparable to Room. And at the same exact time, while people are bashing this and there's a lot of bad press, there are other side of people that really loved it. People is just like, yo, this is really cool. I really enjoy it. And I think that Also Fast brought it up before in terms of there's one way and then there's another way. It's not been anybody that's kind of really in the middle about like, it's okay. Oh, well, I don't know. But I was just curious from you guys' perspective, why people feel as though this is the worst thing ever, or why people feel like this was not what they wanted. Is it tempered expectations? Is it because there's not any superhero movies this year? And so they were like, oh, I'm waiting all year long for this big superhero movie that everybody's wanting, and this underwhelmed me. Was it expectations, or was it just people just, surly because of the situation? Because I don't know who brought it up, like Cyberpunk situation. I've been playing Cyberpunk on my PlayStation 5 and having a ball. Granted, the joint sometimes it kicks out, but I'm actually really enjoying it. But people are really hurt, and want to put their money back. And so I was curious from that side of why people are so harshly coming at this film when
all right. I'll let you
there
finish,
is films like, I mean, somebody brought up Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I really personally didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Did it have some emotional moments?
I did too. It had a Jackson 5 song in it. It was great.
But first
one had Jackson 5. I love Jackson 5.
But I really didn't care for it. But it was very, cheesy and all over the place and splashy, and Lord have mercy, Pac-Man, and anyway, we're not gonna go there about that movie. But I'm just saying that
Galaxy. How did you that movie?
I'll be honest.
You didn't notice that? The final battle of Volume 2?
Part 2 is stupid. But how did I like Part 1?
I'll be honest, and this might. It will offend people. It will. Here's the
zoom in,
because a lot of the times this is what I'll see on my news feed and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, I didn't like this Wonder Woman movie. It was horrible. It was horrendous. And then you click on the profile, and their favorite book is Twilight. Okay, at that moment, I don't care what they think. Like, I just everything goes completely out the window, and I'm like, oh wow, okay, and then it's like, oh well, I didn't like this and this. Like, whenever a DC movie drops, every single Marvel fan gets master's degrees in advanced film studies, and they come out of the woodwork. They pause Groot dancing for like 5 minutes, and then they go copy and paste what one guy on Rotten Tomatoes said, and they're like, "Well, this is what I didn't like about it." They don't even have HBO Max. Like, they ain't even seen the movie.
Right?
They ain't even seen the movie. They just spit up whatever their friend said about it that works at Barnes and Noble. Like, I don't know. But like, and so a lot of times at this point, I've gotten to the point I don't even hardly argue with them anymore, because unless you can tell me specific things, this is what I'll hear from every single person. It had plot holes. Well, what are you talking about? Which one isn't a plot hole? What are you? All right, you're done. Or, oh, well, I didn't like the villain. What didn't you like about him? crickets. And so I feel like a lot of it still is, there's just a really bad hive mindset when it comes to this, because if you can legitimately sit through Thor 2, if you can sit through that movie and then come away and say that Wonder Woman 1984 is the worst superhero movie you've ever seen, I can't abide by that. I don't give people like that. I don't give people that say that attention, because I just, like I said, this is going to be offensive. It's dumb. It's very dumb. Like it's very dumb. And I feel like if this movie bothered you that bad, it's just because you got attention span issues. Like, if just keep watching Groot dance. Like, some people, that's enough. That's enough for people. That's enough. But like, I don't get the hatred. Was this a perfect movie? No. Shawshank Redemption's a perfect movie. Comic book movies aren't supposed to be perfect movies, but like, they come out of it like, why are you offended? Like, why are you hurt right now? Like, what? Like, you own Spice World. Like, why are you acting like you're upset by Wonder Woman 84? Like, you purposely went out and bought a Taylor Swift album, and now you're upset by Wonder Woman 84. Like, go, stop it. Stop it. You're not that hurt about it. You copied and pasted something, and you didn't actually give the movie a chance. You hated it way before it ever even came out.
Anybody else want to comment?
Not that I don't hate it.
First off, worst movie ever is Fantastic Four. Not the Jessica Alba one, the one after that. That's the movie you set all others by in terms of worst movie.
With Michael B. Jordan?
Yes. Great actor in a trash movie. Sorry.
Wait. We could stop right there when you say great actor. I don't care about the movie. The movie's awesome.
I like
Angry White Boy is not a great actor. He is as far from a great actor as you can get.
I think Michael B. Jordan's a great actor. He has room to grow. Look, not everybody can be Chadwick. He is his own version. I think he's a great actor.
Great actor.
I think he's not.
Hold on.
Yo, this took a left turn quick.
I'm about to say, yeah, don't make me elaborate, because then I'm going to say things about someone who is no longer here. That's going to sound horrible, but I'm just not going to say it. I do agree that Fantastic Four is a horrible movie, though. That is a horrible movie.
Continue what you saying.
Yeah. All three of them, including Rise of the Silver Surfer. Like,
all right.
that could be the worst.
They were all garbage. Yes, they were. But Michael Jordan's one, that was bad.
All right, I got my ish I want to say, and I'm ready to go. Sam, is it okay if I go unfiltered here?
I don't care what you do.
All right.
I don't give a
Started
Basically, I am sick of seeing the same shit on Twitter over and over and over again. Right? Because look, understand, I know there's an audience of people who genuinely do not like Gal Gadot for reasons which I don't want to get into. And of course, you have other reasons like Key just mentioned. These people don't watch the movie. I'm pretty sure they did not watch the movie. I'm pretty sure they're sitting behind their laptops, just waiting for the review. And as soon as Rotten Tomatoes shows up, I'm like, oh, 69%. Okay, yeah, this movie sucks. I'm like, did you even watch the damn movie? Did you even watch the damn movie? And that fact that people are comparing this movie to like Daredevil and Batman and Robin, I'm like, okay. Yeah. First of all, this movie is leagues ahead of Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin. And first of all, I know people like to hate on something just because, for instance, this is a female-led film, because it's also the same thing that happened with Captain Marvel, which people hate that movie for their reasons only. But I just feel like they just bash this movie because maybe I'm just, not to be sexist here to speak to two different genders, but I'm just saying maybe it's just people don't like to see a strong woman film. Granted, we've been getting a lot of, men-centered superhero films, but I'm just like, is it wrong for a female film to get, all the love? Is there a problem with that? I feel like that's not a problem. There's no problem with that at all. It's just like he said, like, y'all people who are just gatekeepers and just love to see group dance, and all you people who just love to just praise MCU movies like they're the gifts from God need to shut the hell up and just watch the movie for yourselves and just make your own opinion. Because this is the same thing I said to myself. Ignore the reviews. Watch the movie for yourself. Fuck the reviews. Watch it for yourself. That's it. I'm done.
All right, so hold on really quick. Lucas, I think I owe you an apology, Lucas, because I haven't officially allowed you to.
Come on.
I apologize personally.
No. I need everybody to get their thoughts out before I go. It's everybody else gets thoughts out. Everybody else.
You gotta save Lucas for last because I know he got a whole list.
Listen.
So okay, I'm gonna let you go. As far as the controversy side of this and what's really going on, what's your thought, Jorge?
No, I think, and this sounds terrible to say, we live in a time in this world where being positive gets you nothing. You can go down Twitter, you can go down, any type of reviews. The only thing that you're gonna see is all the negative stuff. That's what gets all the hype, and that's what people are like, like steamrolling with. So for me, like, I literally felt like I was dodging, all these spoilers and like bad review things like left and right. Like I've been off social media for a couple of days because I'm like, I just don't want to hear it. Like I want to see the movie and then come up with my own opinion, just like you were saying earlier. But yeah, no, I think people just rather get that, shock value than give their own true opinion sometimes. And, you just need that one person to be like, oh, this movie, what was worse than like Catwoman, way back in the day. And someone will be like, oh my God, are you really saying that? And then boom, someone will be, and then they think that that's their 15 minutes of fame, because like 4 people retweeted their stuff saying that, the movie sucked. But no, I think this culture nowadays, you have a lot more divide than you have people uniting. Like for me, I could care less if it's a DC or Marvel movie. If it's a good movie and if it entertains me for like the 2 hours or 2 hours and a half, as most of these are going into, and 3 and 4, if Zack Snyder has his way with his Justice League movie, which may be like a week-long movie, for me, I'm like, we should be celebrating these things. Like I remember growing up, we didn't have any of this. And it's not that I'm that old, but it's like we're living in a really sweet era. Like Marvel did spoil the crap out of us with like 5 movies every year, just about, with all their phases. So for me, I was just stoked that we got a superhero movie to end the year.
Yeah.
So yeah. So no, people get their their Rotten Tomato degree and their plagiarism, like you were saying, like copying and pasting and just seeing, it didn't get a fresh score, this movie has to suck. And it's like, no man, just watch it. Like this movie is not bad at all. Like for people to say that this movie is like the worst movie, like I want to see what's in your top 10 then, because it has to be bonkers at this point. So yeah, no, I think sadly it's just the culture we live in, that people are just gonna hate just to hate.
Yeah, so I completely agree. I'm trying to figure out whether I should go first before Ty, then Lucas, or should Ty go, then me, then Lucas. What y'all want to do? It don't matter to me.
I say Sam, you go get your thoughts out.
All right.
Just get your thoughts out while you can.
So for me, it's weird. I feel like personally, I felt like, and this maybe I shouldn't look at it this way. From the critic side of me, if I compare this as a whole movie, I would probably rank it down to like maybe a 7 or 7.5 out of 10. I ended up giving it an 8 out of 10. I actually really did have fun with it, even though I didn't think I would. My expectations of this film early on, I was kind of like, last year I was like, it could be good, maybe it's not. Then it kind of got delayed. I just really was apprehensive about whether or not it was going to hit as good as the first one. But I tailored my expectation, not thinking that it would. But I was like, maybe it might give me something completely different when Patty started telling us what this movie really was, which is an 80s throwback and a Donner-esque, love story, a love letter to Donner. And then I watched the movie and I was like, I get to watch this movie at home in the safety of my own home. And at the same time, people that want to go to see it in the theaters, they can. And I'm like, are people not happy that that's a reality? Are people not, what's the word? What's the good word? Thankful that the movie even came out in 2020? And I know, again, this doesn't detract or add to my score or thought of the film. But when I look at people so upset and going back and forth with this, I was like, dude, like at least the movie came out. Like at least you get to watch it. At least you have the opportunity of watching it whatever way you want to your advantage as a consumer. This doesn't help, Warner Brothers. This doesn't help, what they want. But you getting to see the film and you getting to see, Gal Gadot play it to her utmost. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not as though like this is a bad film. I really feel like, there's different pools with people. Some people are Marvel enthusiasts. Some people are negative detractors. And I think Lucas even brought it up. Like, this was a free film. This is a free give. So people are like, all right, bet we're going to crap the heck on it, and I hate that. I really hate it because it's a bad mark. If the movie is really that bad, if it is, worse than Batman and Robin, campier than Batman and Robin, as bad as Batman and Robin was, then okay, cool. I can stand for you to say that. But this is not that movie. And it really is upsetting that it even is like even talked about in the stratosphere, but that's just the way that the fandom is. And that's the way that, the controversy kind of lies nowadays, especially in such perilous times. But it's kind of like, for me, when you got a movie that is so hopeful, that could bring you some emotional resonance, that could uplift you, you're choosing to allow people to tear it down for you, which is sad. And that's why we always talk about, before we even go and do these reviews, like, go see the movie for yourself, bro. You can go and check it out right now. If you didn't see the movie, you're still watching this spoiler review, go and see the movie for yourself. See if you actually like it. See what you really feel about it. Everybody's going to have a different feeling about it, but you might get something out of it in comparison to people that just really want to tear the movie down. And that could be because this is a female-led film, because this is female-directed, because this is a DC film. I don't know why people do it, but it really does egg me a little bit, just based on the fact that we're actually going to be able to see it. It's bothersome to me personally. And that's all I really going to say. So I'll let Ty go first, and then Lucas.
That's fine. I agree. I don't think the fact that it's a free movie should wait, but it's going to. The fact money is really always going to be the prominent thing right now, and always. And the fact that we're technically given this quote unquote freebie, if you will, to be able to watch it at home, is really great, and it's a bold move, and I think it's a great step. But of course, because it's a quote unquote free movie, we're getting all these free opinions from folks that probably haven't even looked at it yet. And like they tell you, buttholes are like opinions. Everybody got to have one. So I really think a lot of people's opinions would be different if they actually paid the money to go in the theater and see it. And let's be mindful, it wasn't but the summertime where you had people trying to force you to risk your own personal health to go into a theater to see Tenet. And Tenet was the most anticipated thing of the year next to Black Widow, which still hasn't come out because Marvel and Disney gonna try to hold out as long as they can to get that money. So, and I appreciate what they're doing with HBO Max because it's causing a paradigm shift, as we've seen with when Universal decided to start the pay for service online. But like everyone else said, watch the movie yourself and make your own opinion. I made mine. Not everybody's going to agree with it. And frankly, if we're going to be unfiltered here, I could give two shits if people don't like the fact that I said it. The emotion itself is like those moments in Avengers Endgame. I could give two shits if people think that, Michael B. Jordan isn't a great actor or not. That's my opinion, and I have the right. I have the right to say it, and I also have the right to respect if someone's going to disagree with me. Mm-hmm. But that's the point. If you're going to use your freedom of speech and you're going to make your opinion based on the fact that you've actually done the work. Not scour the internet and see all other people who've actually done the work and give an opinion, and then you make yours. But actually go watch the movie and make your own opinion and what you think. And at least if you're going to make opinion that somebody doesn't like, if you've done the work for it, your opinion still has value. So for me, I think I liked Wonder Woman 84. I like that we got a superhero movie at the very end of the year, because let's be real, this whole entire year has been on the same level as a Fantastic Four. It's been a Fantastic Four kind of year. It's been trash. So the simple fact that we got something that we can just sit back, relax, and enjoy for what it is, I think that's great. But I agree with you all. Do the research and make your own opinion. Do the damn work. Do that first before you come out your mouth and say you don't like it just because somebody else says that, because that's not what we're here for. We want value, but we need, especially in the day we're living in, and I'm not trying to go on a long tangent, but especially in the day we're living in, especially with the person that we've got representing us right now for the last 30 days or whatever, we need valuable, wholesome opinions from folks that actually present facts because they've done the work, not alternative facts. So that's where I stand on it. It's a great movie. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, there are things wrong with it, but like I said, like Michael B. Jordan, Wonder Woman needs some growth. So, but they'll get it. I will keep throwing it in.
Gosh. Okay. All right, Lucas.
So first, I got to ask a question here, because I don't know these people that dislike this movie. On any timeline I'm on, everything is mainly positive about this movie. Are we just talking about people on Twitter, or like just the regular, and excuse me for certain words I use. I don't mean to offend anybody by like putting people in a certain group, because I call them nerds. Is this like just the stupid nerds that complain about everything that isn't something that they like, and then they complain that this is bad? Meaning like the stupid idiots who decide to split up superhero movies between two different companies and think they fucking matter. All of them are stupid. Every single one of these movies are stupid, but they're supposed to be. It's entertainment. That's what you're tuning in for. I said years ago, I didn't understand how you have a group of people who claim that they love Marvel and they want to jack off Tony Stark versus the people who love DC and want to jack off Batman. And then you all argue and battle over the same shit. You should be sitting back and reveling in the point that these movies are coming out. You're getting these movies. You're getting them to enjoy them. Enjoy these movies. Wow, Wonder Woman 84 is not perfect. It is superly flawed. But you can't fucking tell me this is worse than Captain Marvel. How? In what atmosphere is this worse of a movie than Captain Marvel? And to the people who only sit up and read Rotten Tomatoes scores, you don't read the actual review. You just look at the stupid scores. Did you pay any attention? Wonder Woman was certified fresh by majority of the critics, and then they let all these other idiots in that Rotten Tomato does a great job of just letting drop reviews, and the score dropped down to 65. A lot of those people actually don't watch the movie. What they do, they are paid to put a review out, and they will tell you, they will cut and paste themselves, put it up there, put it out, and it drops the score down. Or Rotten Tomatoes algorithm will mark a review that is 3 out of 4 as a bad review.
Yep.
You shouldn't be looking at scores to judge if you like something. Watch the movie. If you shit on a movie after watching the movie, that's perfectly fine because that's your opinion. As other people have here said, your opinion is your opinion. If you don't like the movie, don't fucking like the movie. But then don't try to get on other people for liking the movie. That's the problem that I see more than anything else, is that you feel the need to throw other people under the bus because they like something that you don't like. No, I've reviewed lots of films. I came on here on JVS and told you that Endgame is one of the worst fucking movies ever made. And all it was a giant spectacle. I came on here and told you that BVS is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Guess what? It didn't matter that one was made by Marvel and one was made by DC. To me, it mattered that neither one were enjoyable to watch. And that's all that should matter. So if you're up here and you're sitting in your mom's basement and your drawers that you've had on for 4 days, and you have decided to type up how much you dislike Wonder Woman 1984 because other people like it, or worse yet, if you are not liking this movie because it stars a woman, because you can't get women, that's a dumber reason. It makes no sense that you should even be allowed to speak on it. And as we said before, it's because this movie is on a streaming platform that people feel the need to regurgitate over and over again things that other people have said. I read a review on one of our group chats where someone gave this movie a 5.5 out of 10. I literally told the person who posted it, I said, I can't judge this critic because they were supposedly a critic. I can't judge you because I don't know what else you like. And then the moment I saw that he raved over Lovecraft Country, I said, oh, he's a fucking idiot. Like, you can't tell me that this movie has connection and then you like the movie show like Lovecraft Country. Like, it makes no sense. You gotta take people at face value. Twitter people are not real people at all. They are only on there to make your life miserable because it's the hive mentality. One person dislikes it that they think is cool, so they're gonna go along with that person's thoughts, and then they're gonna push this narrative. And that's what's happening with a lot of these movies. But for people out there who love DC films, and there's nothing wrong with loving some of the bullshit that they have put out, but if you love DC films, stop feeling the need to defend them to people who you shouldn't give 2 fucks about what they say. It is a group of people who absolutely love Marvel films that's going to shit on DC films. Stop feeling the need to talk about it with them. Fuck them people. Pay them no attention. They literally don't matter at all. When you enjoy something, as my brother here who said he loved Michael B. Jordan's acting, I said my piece on it, that the nigga can't act. But I'm not going to argue back and forth with him about that because that's his opinion that the boy can act. The same thing with these movies. You love Wonder Woman 84. You love The Man of Steel. You love BVS. You love Birds of Prey. I don't know anyone who loves Birds of Prey, but you love Birds of Prey. You love these things. Don't let someone else's opinion sway you in a way to thinking that what you like is bullshit. Same thing with Marvel Universe. It's people who fucking hate every Marvel movie, but you only hate it because you feel DC doesn't get the credit it deserves. Guess what? DC has Batman. Batman gets more credit than any superhero property on the face of the earth.
Preach.
So just be fine with what you get. I'm just tired, so tired of these unnecessary nerds who feel the need to just shit on things just to shit on them. And then you come up, as Keeden said, and then you'll come up and you fucking like Twilight or something. What the fuck is your problem? That's just stupid. So, in closing, just go back over your thoughts here. If you want to see Wonder Woman 84, check it out. You may like it. I honestly gave it a 6.5 out of 10. That doesn't mean it wasn't enjoyable. I've enjoyed movies that I've given a 4 out of 10 to. But just watch it, sit back, then form your opinion. If you are a loser who decides to base your opinion off of something based off of what other people saw, who cares what you think? You don't matter. You're like a Beyonce hive person that you just over here shitting on everybody else because your Lord and Savior Beyonce told you to do so. Or worse yet, like a Snyder hive person because Snyder Luther King Jr. told you not to like something and you're gonna shit on it for no other reason. Like none of that makes sense to me. The whole toxic behavior of everything that goes on is what needs to stop. Because right now, it's groups of kids, groups of people who grew up with these characters on comic books, and all they wanted to do was see these characters in live action. They loved it. They loved reading them growing up. So they have this emotional connection to them. Rejoice in a point that you have multiple studios trying to give you as much content as possible to feed the little kid inside of you to make you happy that this stuff is coming out. That should be all that matters. It's not about a movie. It's not about if one movie is bad that DC is going to go away. DC's never going to go away. They'll release 80 Batman movies a year before they go away. It's not about Tony Stark dying, so MCU is over with. No one cares that they're making an Asian movie with an Asian superhero that no one asks for. It's just that people want to sit back there and they want to enjoy these works because they grew up with them. As someone who's never been in the comic books in my life and will never read one, I understood it because of the way I look at Stephen King books. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bullshit ass Stephen King show that's on TV now that I watch every week and I know it's bad, but it reminds me of my childhood. And this should be the same thing with these comic book movies. Sit back, enjoy them. If you don't like Wonder Woman 84 and you're brought up in a discussion to talk about it, hey, speak your piece. I don't like it, but we don't need no overarching reason because DC is full of shit and they'll never get their stuff together. DC has literally put out the best 5 superhero movies in this generation. And yet, and still, you're still telling me they haven't gotten their shit together. It's because one company mass produces the same movie over and over and over again, and one company doesn't do it. And then you think that because a company who's mass producing these movies, that they're making them great movies. No, they're just copying the same storyline and giving it to you over and over again. There's literally no difference from Captain Marvel, Iron Man 1, Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy. All of them follow the same pattern. DC is attempting to give you something different. In all of my criticism of DC, and I hate Man of Steel. I hated BVS. I hate so much of what they do. But what I always give them credit for is that they're trying to do something different. And you got to give it to people who want to do something different. That's a great thing. Because if all of these movies were alike, you couldn't separate them. You couldn't sit back and enjoy it. I enjoy Wonder Woman 84 on a level to the point that it is not the typical superhero film. It has beats in it that Captain Marvel couldn't have in it. It has beats in it that Venom won't have in it. It has beats in it that all these other films don't have in it because someone wants to do something original. Sit back, enjoy it, laugh, cry, yell, whatever you need to do, but stop going online and bashing each other over your movie takes and your movie opinions. That is stupid, and only stupid people do that. And the last stupid person to bash people over their internet opinions is currently leaving the White House on the 21st of next month. So we need to just get together and understand that as long as we can all get together and voice our opinions and leave it at that, we're good to go. Nothing else should matter. That's it.
All right, I'm glad we let him go last.
Mic drop.
All right.
I bow to you, sir. I bow to you. That was awesome.
Look, Sam, when you post this, you need to post the full thing, but you also just need to post his snippet and title it The Gospel. The Gospel according to Lou.
Hey, somebody pass me the collection plate. We need to pass a collection plate out here. We got a sermon. I love this. So I got a couple dollars in the pocket.
I'm about to put a Fred Hammond track on real quick.
Like,
somebody tell me some Rome salad real quick. Good God.
I can't. Okay. All right. Regroup. We gotta close out. That was amazing, Lucas. everybody. I appreciate y'all's unfiltered opinions. Yeah, so we did the daggone thing. This is what, 2 hours and 24 minutes. We did it for the equivalent of the movie, basically. So if you want to take what we did, overlay it on top of watching the movie, you got a great commentary. There you go. See it again with our commentary. That's and you can. It's free. We
sit back and enjoy the movie. Just enjoy the movie, man. Let all the other BS that goes around about it. Just leave that alone. Sit back and enjoy the movie. Again, I don't care if you think it's good or bad. I think you'll still enjoy it. Again, it's not like Fantastic Four bad or Michael B. Jordan's career bad, where you will like not like certain things in it. This is something that you can enjoy.
Hardball was a good movie, man.
We gotta close up shop. Yeah. Okay, everybody, please.
Hardball was a good movie.
He was in Hardball. He was great in Hardball.
Oh my god!
I don't want to make it sound like I think Michael B. Jordan. I like that too. Yeah, I think the guy can act. I just think that he acts as the angry black boy in everything he does. That's it.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah,
he wasn't angry in Chronicle. He wasn't angry in Chronicle.
He was the top dog.
Did you not remember his anger at the beginning of Chronicle? He played angry black boy in Chronicle.
In the very beginning,
he wasn't as angry as the white boy. He was angry in Chronicle.
Okay,
see, that's how you make Michael B. Jordan seem like he can act. You put someone equivalent next to him that acts angrier than he do, and then people are like, man, he tore that role up. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I saw when they tried to make him act. I saw Just Mercy. I saw a screening of Just Mercy, multiple ones. I saw when he attempted to act, and it was not good. He just needs to be shirtless in everything he do. He's like Jason Momoa.
Damn.
Take your shirt off and put him in a movie.
Oh my god. Okay, all right. We're gonna
I haven't seen Just Mercy yet, but because of what you said, Lou, I'm gonna watch Just Mercy just to see if it changes my opinion.
He is the equivalent of Matthew McConaughey in Amistad. If you've ever seen Amistad and know that Matthew McConaughey almost ruined a Steven Spielberg movie, that's how Michael B. Jordan is in Just Mercy. He does everything he possibly can to make that a bad movie.
We're gonna close up.
We need to do this every week.
I'll be lit every week.
We need to close up.
Look, Sam, don't tell them that this review is free, or they're gonna rip it. They're gonna rip it alive on Twitter.
Hey.
I wish they would.
Anyway, where can you guys please just plug yourselves? Lucas and who else did I put up here? I think Lucas and Keeden. You can go to the description bar below. You can check them out on Twitter. So you can go follow them.
I'm tired. I'm tired talking about my Twitter. I got the best Twitter out there. Don't nobody even follow it. I'm done. I'm done.
Sam tried to force me to tweet.
Just follow JVS. Follow JVS. Don't follow me. I'm done. I'm tired of giving great free content week after week.
If you want to hear more of Lou's rants, please check out JVS's Lovecraft Country review. Tune into the last 3 episodes.
Oh my god!
And if you thought this one was something, just listen to that one. It's a lot of N-words said though, and a lot of B-words in that said. So just be aware of that going into the door.
Yeah, I'll admit, I forced Lucas to try to get through Lovecraft, and we got through it, but I felt bad afterwards. Because what he did on the mic,
you created a monster.
Did on the mic. Yeah, you just need to go and check out a commentary for that. You ain't ever gonna see Lovecraft Country the same after those 8 long discussions. Anyway, Ty, Jorge, Jonathan, if y'all want to shout out your where people can follow you. We can close up.
So I'm at Ty Nitty, TYNIDDY on your Twitter and your Instagram. I have an old channel with some car reviews called Horsepower Every Day, but I'm about to start 2021 with a new YouTube channel. So don't even worry about it. Just keep track on the Twitter and the Instagram, and I'll put the new stuff up then.
Bet.
You can find me at Blackwing2040 on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And I got stuff planned for next year. I already did I already did marathon stuff this year and reviewed them in detail. So next year I'm going to be reviewing every single Walt Disney animated and Pixar animated film next year, and I think that's going to be a whole lot of fun.
How would you torture yourself like that?
Hey, bro. Hey. I had to sit through 27 seasons of Power Rangers and review them in detail.
Yeah, he did. I saw that on Twitter.
3 seasons of Power Rangers.
Every single season of Power Rangers this year.
Yo, Power Rangers is the jam.
The moment the nigga got on there playing the flute through a mask, I was
Yo, are you gonna review Song of the South? I need to know.
No. I'm not doing live action. I'm strictly Walt Disney animated.
It's a cartoon bird in it. I need to know if you're gonna do Song of the South. I'm gonna be there for that.
Hey, let me know a Goofy movie, dog. I'm there. Day one, Goofy movie.
Oh, I'm definitely doing. I'm definitely doing.
I got a quick question. I know this is off track.
I want to
people still assume that the Goofy movie is a black movie.
It is not a black movie.
It's a black movie. It's a black movie. Goofy movie is a black movie.
It is not a black movie.
All you need is somebody to sing hip hop music, and it makes it a black movie. But yet, no one
look at the rims on that already.
That's crazy.
In the movie, it ain't a black movie.
Get the people,
bro. Powerline did the moonwalk. Come on, man.
You good? That's it.
Come on, man. When he was Powerline, he did the moonwalk. Come on, man. Like that was
Anyway,
that's a black movie. That man had processed hair like one of the Temptations. that ain't.
I'm not even gonna go there. We're not going down.
And he had a fade. And he had a fade. Look at
you know how many white boys get fade to in movies?
Okay. Jorge, you want to shout out where people can follow you at?
A good way.
Yeah, mine is just Oh So Fast 10 or Oh So Fast reviews. You can find me just about anywhere. Instagram, YouTube. I do have a lot of stuff lined up, but I am envious that you went through every single Power Rangers episode. I'm just going to throw that out there now because I am a huge Power Rangers fan.
Man, all I'm saying is I ain't doing that again unless somebody pays me $1 million or $1 billion. That's it. If somebody asks me to do that again, they better have money at the table.
I love it though, man. No, yeah, but I will not commit myself to reviewing every single season of Power Rangers or anything crazy like that. But you will be seeing a lot more of me for sure this coming year. So 2020 was a rough one for me, but yeah, we looking up for 2021. That's for sure.
But Blackwing, I feel your pain. Sam is making me do a commentary track on the Ultimate Edition of BVS. I don't know why he want to do that to himself. But yet he still won't play my commentary review of Man of Steel. He will not play it.
Never. We are redoing that. I already told you.
You send me the file.
We put everybody up there. That's what we messed up.
It's because of the Avatar beginning, and he didn't like my commentary of the Avatar stuff at the beginning of.
It wasn't even you. It was Mo. It wasn't you. It wasn't even you, dog. It was it. That's where it went downhill.
Most like my Flavor Flay. If I say something, he gotta boy and agree with me.
I'm about to sign off. I'm hungry, man.
Anyway, so unanimously, we can say that Wonder Woman 1984 was a good time. No alcohol required. No, I'm just joking. Everybody pretty much we enjoyed.
I actually did drink during it.
I was drinking the eggnog while I was watching it. I'm gonna be real. I gotta be honest. I was drinking eggnog with Evan Williams in it. Like, yeah.
I may have cried. I know better.
But I would have watched it without that as well, though. So
yes. I watched it sober twice. And I don't watch anything sober once, but I watched it sober twice.
Yeah. Well, one last question for you guys. Do you think this has rewatchability? Like, do you think that, because me and Lucas had a conversation when we were doing review for Wonder Woman, the first one, 2017, that it was really good, but it was like so much that went through with it. I was like, I found myself like, I maybe watched it once every other year. I don't rewatch Wonder Woman 1 that many times. And I found myself like, after I got done looking at this, I was like, yo, shoot, I'll look at it again. You know?
Yeah.
So I was curious, you know, do you think this has rewatchability? And I guess why? You know what I'm saying?
I think it does have rewatchability, and the reason why is, I'm not gonna lie, I just love watching Pedro Pascal have so much fun. Like, you could tell he was feeling himself.
Hey,
in that movie.
They took the mask off that nigga and he know what to do.
You could tell my man was feeling it. He's like, I'm about to give y'all the best infomercial for this black gold. Like, he was feeling it. Like, I loved watching him. He was a mess. He's like, girl, I'm gonna get you a TV from Sears. Watch.
19 inches.
19 inches. Wow, did that. Like, love
man.
it.
Oh, we got to thank Grogu for that. Took that mask off that boy.
To answer your question, Sam, I don't think it has a choice. I think it's going to be rewatchable, and I actually think once people actually sit their narrow behinds down and actually watch it, instead of giving all these fake ass opinions without actually watching it, it's going to become one of those cult classic movies. Period. For the simple fact that it came out during a pandemic, got all these crazy reviews, and once people come to their senses, they're going to be like, this movie actually wasn't too bad once they actually do the work. Like I said, I think it has rewatchability, but I think it's because of all the controversy and all the negative reviews and crazy stuff that people are actually going to go back and watch it. And I think when they compare it in the grand scheme of what DC is trying to do, they'll see that it's probably going to be one of the, I wouldn't say a staple, but definitely one of the key moments in the DC EU for sure.
Yeah,
I have to say yes and no, because if you're like someone who really, really enjoyed this movie, then yeah, it definitely has like, you know, rewatchable capabilities. But on a, you know, like you said, LT, people who will rewatch it will definitely probably like need to sit their butts down and just like actually pay attention and watch the movie. But as far as like, you know, of course, there's going to be the few people that don't consider it rewatchable, but I say yes and no when it comes to rewatchable qualities.
Is somebody listening to a racist Disney cartoon? It's just like hum of music that I'm hearing in the background.
I am so sorry. That is my brother in the background. I can't do nothing about that. I'm so sorry.
No. I hear it, and all I thought of was like the old 50s
That's why
Mickey
I
Mouse.
put my microphone in. It doesn't work.
I said, oh man.
I heard it. I heard it. I thought I was thinking Lackawanna.
I heard it.
Was the best.
I heard it, but I wasn't gonna say nothing. I was just gonna play it off. I was just
I was playing it off, and then I just kept on hearing it, and I'm thinking I'm going crazy. Like, is somebody playing a Negro theme behind me talking?
I am so sorry. There's nothing I can do about that. I am so sorry.
Oh no, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
Right, so we're gonna end this.
Hold on. Quickly, just bring up the point that they did get approved for 3, and that the third movie will be the last one, as it will conclude the trilogy. And I think that's going to lead to it being more rewatchable for people in the future, because right now we're seeing it in a sequence. Once you get to the third film, and however they connect all 3 of these films together, it will make you go back to watching this one.
How you think they gonna bring Steve Trevor back in the third one?
If they bring
They
that, they better not.
They better not bring him back. Leave him dead. Leave him alone.
Nah, he gonna be back.
He gonna show up in the Flash movie. Watch.
He gonna show up.
I don't
even want to talk about that movie anymore.
Oh, that's how they're gonna do it. They're gonna do the Flash movie, and they're gonna do Flashpoint. They're gonna bring him back. Yeah, he'll be in it.
There you go.
That's all they gotta do.
I was hoping you did.
All they gotta do.
I was
He'll
hoping
be
you
in it. Oh yeah, everybody gonna be back.
Yeah.
They got 4 Batmans. They're gonna branch off. All of them gonna have their own movies. I'm telling you, DC about to rape you with Batman movies, Joe.
That Flash movie seems like is gonna be equivalent to what this Spider-Man Far From Home sequel is all about. I don't even want to talk about that movie either.
Is Willem Dafoe signed on yet?
I don't want to talk about it. I said I don't want to talk about it.
Toby hasn't even signed yet.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want
Why
to
is anybody even giving Kirsten Dunst work? Like, I know that she was in that movie, but can they pretend she wasn't? Like,
she recently did something great.
Oh, I didn't see it. My bad.
I can't remember.
My bad. After the third,
you ain't seen it.
No. It was a TV show. She looks nothing like Kristen Dunst.
You can't remember it. It might not have been that great.
After the third Spider-Man movie, I
she plays a racist. It was a racist role.
Oh, Lord.
It was a racist role.
About Hidden Figures.
That was the last thing I saw she was in. That was the last thing I saw she was in.
It may have been.
Was it Hidden Figures?
Yeah, it may have been Hidden Figures.
Yeah, it was Hidden Figures.
Yeah, she was Hidden Figures.
I don't count that. That was probably her just playing herself.
I'm about to say she looked nothing like Kristen Dunst.
Wait, is this really her? Was she actually in this movie? I don't even remember her in this movie.
See,
yeah, she was the person that was being mean to whatchamacallit, Janelle Monáe's character.
Yeah.
I told you. I be knowing stuff.
It's weird, bro. Anyway, we're gonna go. Hope you guys were entertained by this 2-hour and 40-minute discussion.
Yeah, we getting the BVS territory. You got to end this soon. Zack Snyder comes here and add 30 minutes to the show.
We're gonna go. All right, everybody. We'll be back again later. Peace, everybody.
Y'all have a good night.